Yeah, they lowered the price on it.
They only built one building.
Yeah.
Like one,
Sharon Thomas. Yeah, we moved here, they put it, we're putting in the curb gutter. And it's sad.
Right, that's where I live, past it every day.
Yeah, all right, Paul has sent an email saying he's stuck in traffic, he expects to be about 5 minutes late. Yeah. But we can go ahead and get started. We'll do, what, traffic? You don't have the road traffic.
Welcome, Melanie, welcome, Joanne.
Yes.
We were talking about something when y'all came in, sorry about that.
So y'all know Melanie and
Yeah, I can't hear you. You're gonna have to.
oh, yeah, sorry. Y'all know Melanie and Joanne and Brandon, of course, but this is Sadie Krawczyk from, did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Close enough? And she is in your proposal from the Eulalia Group, so she may be able to answer some questions for us. But anyway, we have a quorum, so let's call this meeting to order and get started. The first item on the agenda, does anybody need a paper agenda?
I do.
Okay.
Pass me one, too.
You guys want?
I'll just take my notes on it.
First item on the agenda is call to order, which we've done. We want to review the agenda. Are there any questions or comments on the agenda? If not, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda or revise it.
I don't know how to add something,
Yeah,
but there's
just-
a project I want to talk about, maybe us doing.
Under old business,
No, it would be new.
It'd be new business, okay.
Yeah,
you want to do that before the,
just like a downtown project. It doesn't have, it's just an idea I have.
Oh, a pin.
all right, let's make it B under new business then.
Okay.
Project. All right, there's a motion to add that item to the agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Who made the motion?
Sarah,
Me.
Oh,
to add item B, downtown project, onto the agenda, under new business, 6B. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we've adopted an amended agenda. Mike sent the minutes of our last meeting out and asked for any comments or revisions. I don't guess you got any?
no, I didn't.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that, those minutes? Okay, then I entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion from Brax. Second?
Second.
We have a second from both Tara and Jamie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Treasurer's report. What you got for us, Tara?
Can we sign this real quick?
Yeah.
That's the minutes.
This is the same treasurer's report from the last meeting. Because I didn't get May's yet. Yeah. And nothing cleared and nothing went in, so it's a very extreme amount of reporting.
I don't think the treasurer's report requires a adoption, so we'll just take it as a report from the treasurer.
Okay.
Okay. You okay with that, Mike?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
The treasurer's report doesn't require
Yeah.
adoption or acceptance. Okay. Old business, 254 Main Street project. Selection of a planning consultant for that property. We've got 5 proposals. And y'all have had, I guess, a month and a half or 2 months to review those. Anybody want to start out with your observations or?
Well, I'll start with one observation to put on the record is, I reviewed, I haven't had a lot of time, I've been out of town, but I looked it over somewhat, and just going through a little bit of it, the information that I see, correct me if I'm wrong, is seems to be repetitive of what came out of the Sizemore Group thing. And it's like, it kind of seems like if we go forward with some of this, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I'm just saying that it seems that we would be paying for the same information that we've already, you know, got from the Sizemore proposal in certain aspects. With the addition of information that we would be getting from the new proposal, would it suffice to spend the money we are proposing to spend on it to get maybe just a little bit, you know, more information than we already have? You know, looking at the size, I haven't went in detail with the Sizemore, you know, thing, but it seems like that, you know, we have what needs to go here, what businesses, what kind of business needs to go here. We need residential here, and it just seems to me to be, you know, a little bit repetitive.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think we've already done so many of these. And also I have the city is in a moratorium, right?
On
Yes.
zoning.
Right, but what they're going to do, and Brandon and Melanie can correct me because I watched this on YouTube and I didn't hear well, is they're waiting until a new council comes. They'll decide what happens with zoning, and then you guys are gonna come up with like the way buildings should look and things like that, right? What's it called? Oh, you don't know?
They're just rewriting the zoning, I guess.
We're
No.
hoping on the council that we don't wait till a new council. We at least want to get somebody to give us some advice on what we need to do and how we need to proceed. The one thing, and that's a good observation Jamie made on Sizemore, and a lot of that's true, the thing that's really changed since Sizemore was there now seems to be a lot of interest in putting up cottages from the commercial piece of 254 Main all the way to Bobby Boss. And then we need to know how many can go there, because I don't know. And then what designs they're going to have for those homes. I think that's the main reason why we need somebody, and also the commercial side. We had some previously, and you're right, Sizemore did give us a lot of information, but that piece did change.
Well, I don't have it in front of me, but if you recall the Sizemore presentation and study, it was really a map and an overhead view of the downtown area. And
The whole downtown.
The whole downtown.
Right.
But for 254 Main Street and the Pecan Street parcel behind it, they had a commercial building on Main Street, was just a square. And then they had like 4 or 6 squares behind it, which were described as residential property. What we're asking for here, and if you'll bear with me, and if you have them open up your proposals, in the Eulalia proposal on page 1, their proposed scope of services includes a site master plan that will include site layout and street view renderings that demonstrate proposed architecture, streetscape, landscaping, and other design elements for the project. We don't have that in the Sizemore study. It proposes a pattern book to guide future development of the site that identifies ideal setbacks, compatible construction materials, signage options, and building design. The Sizemore proposal includes a site master plan development that would provide a conceptual framework for land use, pedestrian and vehicular circulation, parking, landscaping, and public space integration. Establish building massing, height, and frontage requirements in harmony with Loganville's downtown character. Define facade treatments, materials, and architectural styles that address downtown context and building programming. Propose signage elements and streetscape enhancements that would integrate landscape and green infrastructure elements for aesthetic and environmental benefits, and provide recommendations on zoning ordinance updates to align with the pattern book recommendations. The, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Gertson Design proposal says that their, part of their project would be preparing materials that would serve as a valuable tool for both local decision makers and developers in shaping developments that align with the community's vision and aesthetic, would serve as useful tools for mixed use and residential developments. And they have a whole list of things that would be in the pattern book, including residential design, design continuity, description of elements of style, a facade analysis for existing Loganville urban core structures, design elements including canopies, cornices, window treatments, material selection, colors, textures, form. So I think this is just an example that, in my mind, the Sizemore study was, this is what we think you should put on this property in terms of commercial and residential. What we're asking for is a vision of what those buildings would look like, and something that would not only guide developers in putting it together, but ensure that we get what we want on those sites. And you know, it's a process we'd have to go through, but it's a much more detailed description of what should be there.
Okay.
Well, if we ended up deciding to do this, you know, what effect, because I do know, you know, I don't understand the moratorium like, you know, but from what I understand, it would be about maybe like 18 months. So we get this report done based on what the zoning and everything is now. Well, when it ends up getting to all the zoning being rewritten, do we have old information? Is this something that's going to be changed to where it does not conform to the zoning that it ends up being changed to by the next council? You know, that's just, you know, a question. You know, I'm not saying that this isn't something, that I think this is something we shouldn't do, but, you know, just those kind of questions I'm trying to get answered for myself, because I'm trying to take all this, you know, seriously about, you know, spending the tax money and having, you know, the scrutiny that's going to be coming with it. You know, I just want to make sure that I have enough information to make an intelligible, you know, decision on which way that I vote on the matter. So with the moratorium coming, you know, with the moratorium being here, you know, how does that affect it? Well, there'll be nothing started, nothing built, no business, you know, I mean, no plans being approved or anything like that until 18 months. So what I'm trying to figure out is you know, what would be the benefit of rushing, let's get this done, let's do this right now, because, you know, nothing's going to happen for 18 months. Would the information be better qualified being done further down the road than 18 months before anything even has a possibility of being started?
Great question. I would ask, maybe we need to ask a little legal advice here. And Paul, glad to have you with us.
Glad to be here. Sorry, Noah and his buddies are outside trying to stop me from getting in here. The floodgates opened up. So to answer your great question, but this concept, regardless of which professional consultant you select, that would be one of the givens, that they are not to design this under the scope of your current existing zoning ordinance. Because the reality of it is your current existing zoning ordinance really doesn't allow any of the things that Sizemore Group envisioned in the downtown master plan, and doesn't allow, in my opinion, from what I've heard, ideas and concepts about sort of things that we'd like to see downtown. What are things that we'd like to see downtown so that people are attracted to downtown, people want to come to downtown Loganville to either live, work, and play. So one of the sort of given metrics or tasks for this consultant would be exactly that, to say, design us a vision board, design us a pattern book, design us a product that will allow this project to be built that's in the best interest of downtown Loganville, irrespective of what the zoning ordinances are. And that can actually be a vision cast that actually, what I think you'd hear any of the consultants who have put in for this would say, and certainly I know that what the consultants who may eventually be retained by the mayor and council to rewrite your zoning ordinance would say is, that's exactly what we want to hear. Meaning what we want to hear is what do the residents want their community to look like, so that we can then shape the zoning ordinance around those desires, dreams, needs, and input. Because that's what a good zoning ordinance does, is it takes some very standardized principles, especially if you're talking about walkable downtown communities, generally new urbanist principles, and it molds and shapes them and regulates them, is the word they use generally, to the needs of that particular community. So I would say that if you're asking me, is this ill-timed, I would say actually it's probably pretty well-timed, because it's really actually on the front end of doing a major rewrite of your zoning ordinance.
But if this was visited, you know, 12 to 15 months from now, do you not think the information would be a little bit more pertinent and a little bit more, because it's like 18 months, a lot of stuff can happen in 18 months. I'm not, well, we may have a nuclear war in 18 months, who knows? But
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen tomorrow. We can't always make our decisions based upon what might happen. I mean, if we always make our decisions based upon what might happen, then we'll never make any decisions, right? So at the end of the day, I think that the reality of it is that if y'all want to do what council asks y'all to do, then it's developing this master plan concept for 254 Main.
I think that's probably the point, though, sorry to interrupt. This could be a stupid question, because I'm new to all this. Why does city council want us to do this? They own the property, they're about to rewrite the ordinances. Why can't they take the money and pay these people to have them write that? If that's what city council wants to do, why are we involved? Because quite frankly, we're not ready to be involved in some, we can't go from doing nothing to some major real estate project. Like, I've had to have Google with me to get through half of my RFQ book. Like, this isn't, I just think we should be working on much smaller things until we work out like what our role is, but I'm really confused as why city council passed this along to us anyway. Why couldn't they do this themselves? Why are we involved?
And if I may add, I understand what you're saying, Paul, but I see this more as developing the site plans to go ahead and put it out for bid. Is that not what this is?
It's to put it out for, I don't want to say bid like, okay, somebody come build it in terms of they have the 2x4 selected, but it is absolutely
For a developer to
to
come
have a
in.
developable product. That is correct.
Okay,
And
so-
so I don't want to get into too many of the technical details on the moratorium.
I guess my train of thought is that if we did this, then our next step would be to get the property and put that bid out. I thought that's what this was for. The concept is already there with the last study that was done.
Well, let me say something about that. So if we don't
Did that
do
one get
this,
you, Melanie, right there? Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't my talking that did that.
if we don't do this and we still move forward with developing the property, if we move straight to developing the property, we're going to have ask for people to tell us what they want to build there, right?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm all for this if we're ready to put the property up for
okay.
sale.
And
My,
so-
my next question would be, let's say we spend 25 or 30,000 on this. Can we not make it part of the intergovernmental agreement that we recoup that money upon sale of land to come back in to the DDA along with whatever percentage is?
Sure. So to answer Ms. Tara's question and to sort of say, why are we doing this? So that's a really important question. Is the easiest way that I can say it is that like this is at the heart of what DDAs do. Like figuring out ways to A, do things that cities can't do. Y'all can do things that cities can't do. B, figuring out ways to revitalize downtown communities. And one of the ways they do that is by sort of leading the charge on saying, these are the types of things that we need in downtown Loganville. Either by developing plans saying, we've got an empty piece of dirt, greenfield development, re-infill development, whatever it is, and we want private investment into our community if you come build it like this. Like that is the whole concept. The flip side is well, we just got dirt, and if somebody wants to show up and tell us what they think about it, then maybe we will. But then you may not get the result that you want, right? It's about shaping the community in the way that you want to. But you're exactly right, is that this is step one of the next step. I mean, we can talk all that y'all want to about it, and I can give you some insight on that, but what would happen is you develop this plan, you select a consultant, you develop this plan, and then there's a plan in place, and y'all say you love it, the city council says they love it, and then the next step is then to have discussions with the city council, usually, and that's totally up to them and totally up to y'all, about an intergovernmental agreement whereby you guys are tasked with the process of finding that private investor, right, that developer to come to the table and say, I want to build this, or selling it for the city, and then that is a way that DDAs get funded. And so is there a recoupment element from these funds? Certainly could be. That's between y'all and the city council to negotiate. And there's usually some sort of sales proceeds component. I mean, these are my words. Don't take these officially.
No,
Y'all are the realtor of the, of the city. And so, you know, you go sell the property for $100, there's generally, not always, but usually there's some sort of compensation program back to the DDA that helps fund it, whether it's 5%, 10%, 3%, whatever that's negotiated. And that's ways that you then fund y'all's budget to continue to do amazing downtown things. But this is, I will say this, I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years now. This type of project is squarely within the lane of what DDAs are in the business of doing.
Tara, more directly to your question, my understanding of is why the council asked us to do this was that at the time they were talking about it and wanted to move forward, they were looking at quite a number of planning and zoning projects they would have to be looking at over the summer. They were looking at developing and approving a budget, and they wanted to move forward with it, and so you know, felt like it was a good project to ask us to take on to keep it moving forward.
I will say too, the one thing I do know is I believe I've talked to a few of the different council people in here. With us being the DDA, they as a city have to sell that property to the high bidder. It would have been whoever was the highest bid. With us, we're the real estate agents and we can pick, if we find the right firm and we can sell it for $1. That's what we're allowed to do because we could, but that's why we have it, because we get to pick who is best fitted, not who's the highest bidder. They have to pick the highest bidder. And that's why they
My
passed it to
question
us.
was more not why a DDA, why this DDA? And I just want to be realistic because I'm in an interesting position because I literally own 253 Main Street. Like, I own it. So I'm in a position to make my own property a lot better. But if I'm looking realistically at this, we don't have a full even DDA board. We don't have a website. We can't accomplish these small things. I don't really feel comfortable making any decisions on something this big, and I'm a pretty big go-getter. I'll start a business or do something like within 10 minutes. I'll just decide I'm going to do it, but this just doesn't feel like something that, it feels like the city council passed us to this because they thought we would just jump and do something quickly, and I don't know why we would be tasked with it, us specifically. I know why DDAs would do it. I know other DDAs do it. If we were doing this in a year after we'd established ourselves with people or, you know, done something that worked out correctly, it'd be more comfortable. But my take on the whole situation is we should not even be talking about this. It's too much for us at this point.
And the timing is what, you know,
Yeah.
my main concern too. You know, 18 months down the road is when it's going
Well,
to happen.
if you think about it, you're going to have an intergovernmental agreement. You will more than likely be charged with marketing the property. It will be something that the council agrees to, I mean, you know, within parameters. When the property is sold, you will be the seller, so we're going to have to do another intergovernmental agreement to turn the property over to you. And then when it's sold, what we've got set up now is 3% of the sale price goes to the DDA. In retrospect of what I have learned over the last year or so, that's probably not high enough. Some cities do 10, some cities do 20. We did 3 as what and I think I was the one that pushed that one then just to get something out there. So if you were to sell that property for $300,000, you'd get 30 grand, huh? Or about that.
You know, I have a great deal of respect.
9,000.
I have a great deal of respect for city council and the members, but they're no more equipped to do this than we are.
Well, none of us are builders.
Right.
That's the reason you hate to spend money, I get that. But if you don't have the vision, and if you don't have the tools to create a vision that you can ultimately decide on, you got to have help somehow, and this is a mechanism that you have to get help.
Yeah.
Once they turn over a package and you agree to it, and the council agrees to it, this is what we want, then you go into the marketing side.
But I was present the night the council voted to turn this over to us. And the reason they voted to turn it over to us, because they said, and I quote, "We can't agree on it, so let's give it to them then."
Well,
Now, I'm hesitant to spend $25,000 or $30,000 of the money if I don't have a commitment to get the project going. That's my only worry right here. I understand that we need We need a set of blueprints to go by to put this up and get it.
I would tell you this, if we were in a council meeting, I suspect you're absolutely right. We would not have a unanimous vote.
mean,
I
that's what
agree
the
with that.
council said that night.
However, if the plan is something that we want to go with, we can get the votes. A lot of people now are interested in these cottages down the back. That's the new element of it along Pecan Street. I don't know how it'll work out, just don't know. We pretty well know, we think, what would probably go is the commercial front. I mean, how much can you do to a commercial front? You can put different awnings and shapes of the building, all that kind of stuff, but it's probably going to be a couple of stores or offices, one or the other.
But if we don't come up with a vision for that, we wouldn't wind up with it, but we could get design ideas to put a 6-story building there.
For,
Well, if we don't pay attention to zoning, we could get a skyscraper.
well, again, downtown zoning is its own zoning.
Yeah.
And the council has the luxury, correct me, Paul, if I'm wrong, to zone things the way the city wants it to be zoned. So I don't believe zoning will be an issue once we get the vision and we all agree on the vision. I just don't see it.
Well, we're never all going to agree on a vision. I'm not looking for that either, though, because,
Well, you don't have it yet.
yeah, some people are, no, we know. We know where we live. We live in local. We're all not going to agree. I just don't understand why we have to do anything with 254 Main right now. Why can't we just do something else? Like, city council told us to do it, and, okay, we respect what they're saying, and now, I mean, if it was all me deciding, like if I was gonna vote and it was my decision, I would say, okay, city council, we looked into what you want us to look in. We are not comfortable asking you to spend $30,000 on this. We're not comfortable with where we are on all our other projects as a DDA. We're a baby DDA. We don't even have like a direction yet. There's a little much for you guys to give to us, but give us a year and then we'll come back and we'll do 254 Main for you.
Because it is premature. I mean, it's
Right.
premature. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, I haven't been at this but about 6 months, but just
Well, I'll
my,
ask Sadie a question if I might. One of the things that I found out from going to a lot of downtown development meetings, training, was that the first thing you don't do is you do not have snaggle teeth in your downtown. Means you don't have empty lots of dirt and stuff downtown if you want to create an environment that you want people to come visit. I've been trying, even when I was on the LDA, we tried to put forth what we thought was a vision. They wasn't ready then. The original DDA that was established in 1985, in 40 years, their main mission was to develop and revitalize downtown, and in 40 years, very little happened. And I suspect if we play the game of kicking the can down the road, we'll be another 10 years. I mean, but
So let me
It's
ask
just
a little
what
bit more
y'all want.
about your concerns. Is your concern that we don't have enough experience and we'll screw it up?
No, it's not that. It's just, I mean, this is me. I haven't discussed this with anyone else, so I'm not speaking for everyone, but it just doesn't, everything else, we seem to be taking these long times and these long decision-making processes on, from the website to, everything, but 254 Main seems like we're not even given a choice that we have to. Like, I know we voted on doing this, and I didn't vote for it, but everyone else did, or Michael didn't either. So we're doing this, but it just seems like, why is this where we start? Seems to be such a big place to start. I know this is the function of a DDA, but a brand new one that has accomplished nothing yet, and following an LDA that really was, lacking achievement as well. I feel like we could do a lot of little things and get established and get to know the community a little more and other businesses and be better equipped to make this decision by actually doing something and being a part of it, because we haven't done anything except for
trash cans.
Christmas lights.
exactly. But those little things we could do, but we can talk to people and figure things out or host events, and I don't know, I just don't understand. Like I said, anyone in the room, I benefit the most out of 254 Main because I own 253, and if it's something great, then automatically I have all kinds of, I'm printing money, whatever.
getting to know people in businesses is part of our mission statement.
Exactly. But also, it just doesn't make sense correctly for us to, I don't know why city council, like, if you guys want to do this part of it, why don't you guys do this part of it? Hand it over to us when it's time for the part we can do better. Because this isn't the part, like, he just said, he's been to all this training and they say you don't want a snaggletooth. Well, none of us know that, you might, but I've never heard that because I don't have the experience. Y'all have all the experience. And like Michael said, y'all passed it to us because y'all couldn't make a decision.
Well,
And-
it's a team effort, but I forgot to get back to you, Sadie. Is that not a fair discussion of usually one of the first things they talk about in downtown development? That's the reason you see Monroe. How many fences have you put up where you had empty buildings? Some, I've seen them. So you're trying to give, I guess, an illusion that everything's full and functioning, and that's just retail.
So I just come back to council. I was there that night too, and I mean, you're absolutely right. It's like, well, let's let them, help us make this decision. But I think that sort of the reason of why 254 Main is because I do think it's for y'all, looking at your downtown, looking at your boundaries, which y'all are charged with helping to revitalize, is it's a very central piece. It's a unique piece in that it's right on your main street. It is at a corner, so it has two sides frontage, and it's unique in that it has depth. Goes all the way back to, what's the side street there? Is it Bobby Boss or Covington? Bobby Boss. I haven't learned them all yet. So it goes all the way back to Bobby Boss. So it encroaches is the right word. It touches on what I call the in-town, community housing components of it. So it's a pretty unique piece that offers what I think most infill or urban planners would say a lot of opportunity. So I think that's the reason why 254 Main, in addition to, okay, they want y'all to help make the decision. But this decision is about choosing a consultant, which is really the first step of then casting the vision. I mean, you're not even to vision casting yet, which is part of, sort of the charge that you have. This is picking a consultant to help guide you in the things that y'all don't know to get to the point to be able to cast the vision and partner with the city. The most successful DDAs that you will see, this I can speak to, and I know that Sadie can speak to better, are the ones that have the strongest interworking partnership relationship with the cities. I mean, that's just the reality of mine having been in the business for 20 plus years. Is the most successful downtown cores, the most successful DDAs that support those downtown cores are the ones that have the most symbiotic and interlaced working relationship with the city council. It's a not them versus us, it's a we and we, just different, different components of the same of the same collective group.
Well, I'm certainly not them versus us. I don't want to come off that way. I might be coming off that way, but I just think that what you're saying, I totally understand. I just don't think that this is being handled the correct way as far as the force that's being pushed behind it. And it seems to be the only thing that anybody is willing to even let us talk about or do, and I think that's what's becoming, to me personally, like, what is the deal here? But since we're on the subject, how are we going to pay for this? Let's say we vote, where are we going to get the $30,000?
It's my understanding that there's.
Can I help you with that?
Yeah, please.
Monday night, the council got together, and our task that night was to approve the 25-26 budget, and we did. And in that budget is $25,000 coming to the DDA. That will probably come to the DDA in July. There'll have to be an intergovernmental agreement that's done in July, and so that will add to your bank account.
Intergovernment agreement for what?
It's,
In other
Paul,
words, they were gonna fund 25 more thousand.
it's things every government entities do when they do things with other entities. So,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah,
can
the
explain.
budget the council approved had earmarked $25,000 for professional services or fees to be used by the DDA, envisioning basically this 254 Main Street project. So the council's already earmarked those funds.
Right, but we're talking about how much the council respects us or made the decision to let us do it. We asked the council for $40,000, and the council gave us exactly the amount we need to do what they want us to do, which is 254 Main. And nothing, we have no money for anything else.
Well, I disagree with that drawing a little bit,
Okay,
in the fact that you have 22,000 in your bank account, which gives you a total of 47,000, and this will be 25 of it, but you still got the 22,000 you currently have in your bank account. And don't be surprised, in a city as small as Loganville, almost nobody gets everything they ask for.
oh, no, I'm not
Just
upset
a
about it.
budget process.
I honestly, the budget was so long, I thought we got nothing. I only found out, speaking to Dana yesterday, that we did get something, but that it was with strings attached that we do 254 Main.
No,
And that's
it's
the
not
part
attached to
for
that.
professional fees, but then why did the city council just do it themselves? Why, it doesn't, none of it makes sense to me, and I could just be the dumb one up here,
I
so
think it's
that's why we all
because
get a
we
vote.
know, Tara, that we are going to need a DDA. Because there are a lot of things, when transfer of property comes along, that you are the ones that can do it versus the city. And that's the whole concept. More people, more ideas.
Right, but we can't do anything.
Why?
Like, we have, what have we been allowed to do? We don't have a website, we don't have social media except for what I did, we don't have any plans for anything. We spend every meeting talking about 254 Main. Any conversations we have in between meetings is about 254 Main. The most effort we do to get people here, we've gotta have a quorum so we can vote on 254 Main.
But
I don't
again,
understand why.
At the end of the day, it's y'all's vote.
Oh, I know.
Well, I think part of the reason for that, Tara, and, you know, I've said this before, is that the rest of us here, or I'll speak for myself, don't have the skills to build a website or to do social media. We need staff. But I think a reason to go ahead with 254 is because we probably don't need staff to do that. We have consultants. And we have Paul's advice.
Well, I was told that the city was doing our website, not us. But,
Well-
I mean, I understand, like I said, you guys.
I think.
I'm here
Kyle-
because you want me to have my opinion, that's my opinion, is,
Okay,
I
that's
don't.
what I'm saying.
No, I appreciate your
As I remember it, Kyle was working with Jamie,
Yeah,
and that's probably where the drop happened.
yeah.
No, that is not at all what happened.
Well, and then
I
this-
actually spoke to
Tell
Kyle
me.
myself, Kyle never spoke to Jamie. Jamie and Kyle spoke one time, they did not work together, I confirmed it with Kyle directly.
Well, that's not what we were told, was it?
No, by Jamie, well, Jamie was lying, but let's not even go
But
there.
then, when it came to push,
Need
it
to
came
find
to
another
shove,
path.
the city was updating their website and didn't want to do it at that point.
Oh, I didn't
Right?
know that part.
Yeah.
So the
They've
city
got a
is not.
brand new website. They
I
didn't
know the
wanna-
city was updating theirs. I did not know the city has now come back and said they won't do ours.
No, they didn't say that. They
Oh,
didn't
they
say
will
that.
do ours
I
still.
said they wouldn't do it while they were updating their site.
Gotcha. But still, I'm just saying, it just look, I talk to people in the community, like I hear both sides of it, and usually I'm always like, no, you guys are making stuff up, but this does seem like a little bit, like, why would we could do so many more things before we made a real estate deal, built a building or whatever. That's just my opinion, though.
What
I
are those
guess-
things that you need?
What are those things that we need? I mean, we've talked about things we've talked about doing events, we've talked about going and meeting with businesses, we've talked about thousands of different ideas.
Has
We've
any-
all brought some.
Has anybody told you no from outside the DDA? That's
From
what-
outside the DDA?
That's what we
No.
all want.
No, everyone outside the DDA, like Danny and Christy, like they've been all on board with me. Like I was trying to do events. Danny and Christy offered us the world. Like they're going to give us the town green, but we only ever talk about 254 Main. So I think the city is on board with the other things too. It seems like we only want to do 254 Main, which is fine. I'm just saying, me personally, it's just not. I don't know what the right answer is. So it's a lot. But we can have differing opinions, just like on city council.
Again, I just don't want to go and spend this money and encumber this money if we're not going to use it. And I think that's what I've heard from all the citizens, is that you spend money on getting plans, spend money on this, but it's never taking any action on it. If I knew that we had the authority with the land coming soon, the council would vote on it, even though they would have approval on the final design, then I would vote all for this. But if we're just gonna spend this money in 6 months, and it goes to the council and they can't agree on it, then where are we?
Well, the council's actions are out of our control.
I understand that.
And
And that's why I'm hesitant to go ahead and do this.
Especially with the real.
But they've asked us to do it.
They, like I said, I was present tonight, they sent it to us, and they said, basically, let's give it to them because we can't decide and see what they can do. And that's not asking us to do it, that's throwing it in our laps. And I don't mind it spending the money, if we had, the budget, we asked for that 25,000 for some other things to add to our budget. One of the things we were gonna do is talking about planning consultants, talking about grant consultants, things like this. But if we're gonna spend all that money on this one thing, and we encumber this 22,000 pretty quick, then what's left? And then it rolls out and we don't do anything with this food. And I agree with Paul, this needs to be done. I agree, I get that. And if we're at the point that the city council's ready to move forward and sell this property, then I would say we need to do this right away. But is it gonna take? And I'm not even worried about the moratorium on the thing that was for whoever bids it out to handle, and I believe the city could work with them. But this project's gonna take, what was their estimate, 6 months to get it back to us? Okay, in 6 months, we could be close to a rewrite on the ordinances, but,
No. We
Are
might be
we-
close to starting one.
okay, if we get this done and we get a thing back, and do we have to take that to the city council to get it approved?
Well, they have to transfer the property to us, so if they don't approve, they're not gonna transfer the property.
Okay, are we on the same wavelength then with the city council about what
You
basically?
don't know until you try.
I think it's gonna depend on the vision, and hopefully we are.
I mean, if we don't do anything, we're not gonna get anything done. If we try to do something, we might not get it done, but we might just get it done.
Well, I don't think we should get upset, but we can also take that attitude about everything. We can take that attitude about
Yeah.
every single thing we suggested we don't know until we try.
Right.
It just seems like we're trying the most expensive first project ever, and we don't even, have some basic stuff going for us because of us or whatever. It's not, it just seems like too much, but
Can I offer, I think a lot of us are on the same wavelength here, and can I ask two things? First off, these bids, these packets, do we have a length of time these are good for? That's gonna be my first question for somebody who would know that.
And what?
This bid right here, how long is this good for?
Are the bids
I don't
good
think
for-
we asked for that.
Yeah, we didn't ask for it because RFQs are for a price.
Okay.
But you still have to finalize your negotiations with the professional, right? So while the pricing is in there, it's not like traditional,
It's
please
not like-
build this building and the lowest bidder gets the job.
I got you.
So this is not the answer you want to hear, but a reasonable time, right? I mean, if we're still talking about this in this summer with the bids coming in, or they do
May 29th.
May, if you're still in this summer, then okay.
29th.
But if we're saying, well, let's talk about this in January, I mean, they're going to be
Yeah,
like,
6
no.
months past
Yeah,
this.
we've moved on and we're going to have to resubmit a bid package, even though it's technically not a bid.
And I'm sure their cost changes over time as well.
Yeah, I mean, cost on projects like this is labor cost, not material cost, of course.
I think from what everyone's saying, and like I said, I think I'm kind of catching on, Tara, Jamie, and all of us, it's more of, with such a divided council, if we spend this money and do this, I don't think any of us want to see it wasted. My question is, and I think I would be even more inclined to go ahead with this if we were not coming up on a reelection November, where this whole thing can shift that quick. And like, I want to do this, I think this is still the next step. Me and Jamie are both sitting over here. I do think this is one of the next steps. But we have to sit down, I think the next step for me personally, I don't know how it's without a meeting or it is a call, we have to sit with them. Because we don't know what they want and they don't, like, if all 7 of them are like, hey, this is actually what we're kind of visioning, we're on board with this, I'd be 100% down. But I think they're so divided, again, I'm not going to take a chance of $25,000 coming down to one vote.
40.
$40,000 in this one. That's what I'm more concerned about. Now, if we address this in November and we have a new council and they're all on the same page as us, or give me 6 or 5 of them on the same board, I'm cool with that. But for the most part, what I've seen, everything is, Skip had a deciding factor as the 7th person the other day. And like I said, I think it went great. But the fact that we're coming down to that because we are so divided, me and Jim are just sitting over here, I'm not going to risk $40,000 to come up to a yay or nay by one person. Now, again, we come November, if we have a council that actually wants to sit down and meet with us and say, okay, hey, we're on the same board here, we want y'all to proceed, we'll stand behind you. And again, I think you said, Mr. Paul, the best advice is like, the strongest DDAs are the ones that are in that aligned with the council. And I agree, I fully agree with that, and I think that's the future of this board, but I agree with Tara on the same fact. I don't think we're at that point, because I hear from 2 different sides. I think all of us do, and I'm more, like I said, it's just gonna come down to one vote after spending all this money for a chance when I can go November and we have 2 years then. We're 6 months closer to a new code written, which again, I know we won't be at that point, but we'll be closer to that. And then B, we'll have a new council that we can say, okay, let's sit here, let's go through this, let's talk about this. What do you guys want us to do with this property? Because again, I don't think we've even tried to sit down all together. Because I think we have to sit down all together. I want to hear what Brandon has to say. I want to hear what Melanie has to say in the same room. And we have to do that. Because again, for all this he said, she said, watch meetings, I'm like, again, I feel like Tara was right. I feel like we were thrown into a position in the middle of a dogfight and was given a task. And I'm like, I want to do it. I think we all want this. I think the whole city of Loganville wants this. But I can't risk the chance of one vote canning everything we just worked for. And again, so for 6 months, we can really work on some other things, what Tara's saying, and do some smaller stuff. Get to November, get to an election, see what we're dealing with, or we can sit down with this council. I'm not against it. But again, the timing this is going to come back is going to be the worst timing because they're all going to be in transition. And I just don't want to see $40,000 of money wasted. Sure, I ain't wasting my $40,000, but.
Well, as I disagree with that, it's your decision to make. You're your own entity, you're the DDA. If you want to hold off, hold off. It's your decision.
If I'm going to motion anything, I would love to motion to have a set meeting with this council and really hear what they want from us, all 7 of them, with all 7 of us, including Araneta, or all 6 of us, including Araneta.
Let me just hop in there and sort of say, I understand the idea of wanting to make sure everybody's aligned, but y'all's roles are very different. Your roles are very different, and that's what we sort of highlighted. City council's role, if they chose to dispose of this property with anyone other than you, is to do one thing and one thing alone.
Highest bid.
To sell it to the highest bidder for the highest market price. That's a completely different goal than what your stated goals are as the DDA of the city of Loganville. So, can y'all have that meeting? Y'all can do anything that y'all want to do and that they agree to do. It does need to be an open meeting. But y'all have very different goals, even though y'all have common, a common symbiotic relationship of wanting to do what's best for the city of Loganville. Y'all also still have very different goals.
Well, it may be not so much a goal as a requirement. I would think, the council has to, it's a requirement to sell it to the highest and best use for the most money. Whether that be something that they want to do, it's a requirement. It may be not what they want to do, but what they have to do. So, I agree with Brax, as far as trying to align, because, what you did, and once again, made sense. Us and council being on the same page, makes a strong, it makes us a strong group here. And I do agree with that.
Well, I believe we all have the same goal. I believe, think about it, see if this works for you guys. What the council, I believe, wants is for you guys to have a vision that the council will agree with, and then we'll move forward. I mean, I know we can have a Saturday retreat. We can have it right in this room. We've done it before, and that's fine. But getting that vision is the hard part. That's the hard part. You got to have the vision. What do you want as a collective group? And I don't know if we sat down on a Saturday, if we come out at the end of the day with a plan. I just don't know. We don't know. We don't have the tools. But that's y'all's call.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 bids in front of us.
We have what?
We have 5 proposals in
Yes.
front of us. And actually, I think only 2 of them met the requirements of the RFQ, which were
Price.
30,000 and under, correct?
And let me share something Paul just showed me too. I think we did talk about 30. I don't know if there's any PFQ or not, but when he looked at Sizemores, they broke out another little piece of it and made it $8,000 separately. So their bid is really at $38,000.
Well, the 8,000 was an optional piece.
But we want it, I think.
But Mike, let me clarify that
Who wants it?
Isn't part of that $8,000 they pulled out? What was that for?
it's for,
I was just
public-
highlighting that the below the line was the 8,000 optional for community engagement.
Community engagement.
Right.
Basically, public meetings to dig into what the community wants for the site.
Well, every
But,
one
but
of
to,
them-
but to clarify, Mike, our requirement wasn't that it be below $30,000 or $30,000 or less. We communicated, or we tried to communicate our expectation that this project, we thought, should be around $30,000. Exclusive of the optional piece for, public engagement.
And the first time around, everybody was well over that, were they not? That's where that came
So
from.
I would argue we have 3 that meet the requirements. But that may not be here or there. It sounds like there's a majority that wants to put it off or not do it.
Or can we just pick the one that we want to do and forward it to council for their consideration, let them do it and pay for it?
One what?
Pick
That's
out
not
one of
bad.
the
That's not bad.
RFQs that we think is the best one, tell the council, since they sent it to us, tell them, council, that this is what we want, and if this is what you want, then you can pay for it and vote on it.
Well,
And even they could use the 25,000 you set aside.
I think that's basically what they did when they gave you the 25,000. But-
I didn't watch Monday's meeting, sorry, I was out of town. Did they talk about the DDA and this money
No.
on Monday?
No, we just approved the budget. We talked about it on the previous Monday, but I don't believe that was discussed. I mean, Danny and the staff of the city is the one that puts the budget together.
And they told you that it was for specifically this,
They can spend.
No, it's money to the DDA.
for
There's
professional.
some assumption that you're gonna move ahead with something, but no,
I guess, Tara, that was my assumption.
it's not
My-
tied into it.
Mike,
Well,
were
he
you,
said professional.
were you saying we would give, if we sent it back to city council, were you saying we would allocate, if they choose to do it, they could have that 25 back and use it toward this? Is that what you just said?
They don't even have to give it to us, is what he's saying.
But Mike, wouldn't the city then be the client? And they are the
I
ones.
believe that money is
The only
going,
only part that we act as a seller is once the city gives us the property.
But
That
under
money
this,
is
we're
going-
the ones that put together the vision with the consultant. Would it then be city council that puts together the vision with the consultant?
No,
They said
then,
they're gonna have to approve it anyway.
Yeah, they can,
well, we always want something that was gonna be agreed upon. That don't mean everybody's gonna love it, but agreed upon is a fair statement. We do about everything in the city that way.
I understand what you're saying, but it seems like y'all are on one hand saying, well, y'all, the best DDAs are gonna work together, and as soon as we're like, okay, let's work together, you're like, well, we're not getting everyone to agree. Okay, well, we're not gonna get everyone to agree, so
No.
we can't, it's just,
That's why there's a majority vote.
I understand, but again, we're all here to give our opinion, that's my opinion, is that it just seems really like foot on the pedal for 254 Main? What if something happened and we couldn't do 254 Main? We have absolutely no ideas, plans for the future other than
I
just
think we
254
could
Main.
probably do that and some other things.
If Tara, Mike, are y'all, I don't hate the idea Mike just said. I was curious what y'all were thinking with, if we picked, what we're here really to do, I guess, is if we picked one and said, hey, city, back to you guys, and then again, as long as they approved it and they said, yep, we'll spend the 25 or we'll spend the 30, 40, whatever it is, then we would then take control and vision it. Would you be okay with that, or do you not even want it to go back to them? Tara, I'm just more like, I didn't mind that idea as much as I was saying us. That way, it's them sticking behind their.
I don't mind us doing the vision.
I don't know, I
whatever.
like that.
I'm ready now to approve the money to do it if I thought that it was going somewhere. I'm just worried that it's not gonna go anywhere.
That way, we're taking out
Number
the chance, sending it back to them, because if they then thumbs up that, they're gonna thumbs up the whole way through. We'll cast a vision, do that stuff, and we're gonna do it that way.
So you're envisioning basically an endorsement by the city council of us moving forward with it.
So
It's the
just,
safest way to go.
just to highlight to use that word, the endorsement is, if y'all selected a consultant and said, we're going forward with this, the next step would be twofold. One is to engage in a professional services agreement with the consultant for the project. If you decided to do that, you could make a motion to empower the chairman to finalize that contract and execute it. And then additionally would be for a very simple IGA between the DDA and the city of Loganville, that, let's say that you did this tonight, then at your July meeting and at the city council's July meeting, we draft a very simple IGA between the two of y'all, whereby I believe the expectation would be is that they would fund $25,000 of this project, whether you choose the $25,000 person, the $30,000 person, or the $200,000 person. I wouldn't suggest that. I'd make sure that you have enough money to do it. But that they would enter into an IGA with you to fund this project or transfer to you through what's called an intergovernmental transfer, $25,000 for the purpose of engaging professional consulting services for the pattern book and vision plan for 254 Main. That's what's in the budget. I haven't seen it, but that's what I've been told, that it is reserved for. It has a notation of $25,000 for DDA for professional services.
Because at that point, then we could see, in a way that's like a free meeting, we could really see if we send it back to them where they all really stand on
I
this.
mean, the IGA is really the endorsement. If they don't approve the IGA.
That's what I was saying. The IGA is the endorsement is if they got to let go of your $25,000 in order for y'all to be able to do it, because otherwise you can't do it, right? I mean, and obviously I'd make sure that that's in place to where you're not obligating yourself to anything until you've got the money in hand.
So the question
I
is,
do totally understand where you're coming from. A lot of us on the council have the same concerns. We did a tree ordinance, got a consultant to tell us what we should do about the tree ordinance. And initially, everybody wanted it. But then when we got down to the end of it, and we put a package together, all of a sudden, if a homeowner wanted to cut a tree out of their yard, they had to come and get a permit. Well, we knew that wasn't going to happen. And it fell apart. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. You give it your best shot and you move on, and it's just the way the world works. And you hate to spend money you don't use. You could say the same thing about the Sizemore study.
Do you have all the numbers?
Same thing.
Yes.
We thought everybody was ready to rock and roll, but not tonight.
Okay, so we were going to ask the city council, or we asked the city council, or we asked Danny for $40,000, right?
45.
$45,000. That did not include this. We said that we were going to go back, that's why I asked them at the meeting, we were gonna go back once we got this stuff and ask them to pay for that. So, continuing to say the city council gave us this money, or funded us. They didn't. They gave us nothing of what we asked for because we haven't come and asked them for anything yet. They gave us $25,000 to do the project that they want us to do, which is fine and well, and appreciate that they think we can do it, but again, just my personal opinion is that's not really what I would want to spend my time on. If I get outvoted, like, that's what we'll do, but the city council or Danny, whoever made this decision, gave us nothing. They gave us the money to do this that we haven't even asked them for yet, because we haven't even chosen a person and haven't even told them how much we need.
I believe, Tara, what maybe has happened is maybe assumptions. I don't believe this $25,000 is gonna be tied to this study. They're gonna
Paul
get the
just said it
25,000. Is that what it
is.
says in there?
Yes.
Okay.
So
It's
the,
reserved, it's a line item under professional services or professional engineering services.
so the city council gave us absolutely nothing, which is fine, because we all went into it saying we may not get anything. We have $22,000, we can work with it. But we will give you $25,000 that you haven't asked for us yet, for a plan you haven't even like, it seems, like, I work in a lot of businesses, it just seems really, like, okay, so you really want us to build 254 Main, then just do it yourself. Like, I don't know why you have to, I don't like this whole narrative that they gave us $25,000. They gave us zero. Is that right, Melanie, Brandon? Y'all gave us nothing. You gave us $25,000 to spend on 254 Main,
It's in the budget for professional services.
for 254 Main.
I didn't say that.
I asked Danny if we gave y'all money, and he said it's in the budget, but council would have to vote to give you that money.
On intergovernmental agreement.
In my conversation with Danny, there was absolutely no indication it was tied to anything, but I've now heard that some of the powers that be have manipulated that into making that tied. And I'm with you, I find it extremely suspicious that you need 25,000 and you were given 25,000.
Okay, but still, my point is, the city council didn't give us anything. They gave us what they wanted to give us for the project they want us to do. We haven't even asked them for it yet.
Well, but to be fair, we haven't approached them with any other projects that need money. I mean, we had a budget of,
Yeah, we all went and met
didn't-
with Danny and sat down and said, here's what but Brax and I
But-
went together and said, here's how we want to spend it, here's the things we want to do.
but in the end, we asked them just for 45,000. We didn't put any projects with it.
Okay, but still, the city council didn't give us anything.
Of our request.
Yeah, they gave us nothing, which is fine, because it was he told us when we were there, the budget and the balance, I probably won't have the money, I won't, but it's just, but here, you can have this 25,000 that you haven't asked for this other thing.
Well, but couldn't you view that as a expression of how important they feel this project to be? Is that's what they funded?
Danny.
I agree, it is so important, but they gave it to us.
Yeah.
Why didn't they, with no plan, no vision of their own, anything? They just said, we can't agree on it, so y'all take it. And now it's being billed as they gave us $25,000. Well, they didn't. They gave themselves $25,000 basically, or they gave their own project $25,000. I'm not, again, I will benefit from 254 Main more than anyone in the whole city of Loganville. But I didn't join the DDA to line my own pocketbook. And so I'm not gonna make my decision based on that. It just seems odd that they wouldn't just do it themselves. They wouldn't just hire this consultant themselves with their own $25 or $25,000, I'm sorry. If it's 25, I'm fine with that.
What is the wish of the board? What is the
Well,
desire? of the
I
board?
can also mention, not just gonna change anything, and it's y'all's call anyway, regardless. But there's been some discussion that some people might wanna step away from the DDA because nothing is happening. I would think that if that theory that you have is they gave it to this project, I would think that that's trying to get something going and doing something, but that's your call. And I will have to ask Danny if professional services, that could be a lot of things, could it not?
I mean, I believe that it was earmarked for this consulting project. I don't believe
well,
it
that's
was
fine. I
earmarked
want
for like general, use for, say, a concert or a public event.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that.
So what what do you think the chances are of us getting the 25,000 if we don't move forward with it?
0.
I don't know. I honest to God don't know. I would think Paul's got a good grip on it, though, I would think. And you think? Good grip.
That's you guys.
I know it.
So if we move to approve now, and this is a question. If we move to approve now, the only contract that we've got for 25,000, because that's the only money that we can spend on it.
No.
Let me finish.
All right.
Then you're saying at this point, if we as a board vote to do that, then it goes back to the city, and the city has to allocate the money in an IGA, which means the council has to vote on it, particularly for what this project is.
That's just the process.
No, yes and no. Is if y'all, the process would be that if y'all select a consultant, and then you would ask, I mean, I'd send an email, or the mayor would, make, that the city release those funds for y'all to use for the project. Whether you choose the consultant that's at the 25, or you choose one of the other consultants that's at a number.
We don't have
that-
enough money to choose anybody else.
Well, I mean.
And still operate, that's.
I mean, you do have the other funds sitting in your bank account, so, there's whatever it is, put that together, it's 47, right? So if you chose somebody that's at 47 or below, then y'all could proceed forward with the project. Obviously, I understand, I'm not saying that y'all are advocating to spend all your money, I get that.
Well, no, because
But-
the other things we had on tonight's agenda was a grant consultant, and a few other things, which is gonna take some of that 22,000 out.
Sure, I understand.
So the way I'm seeing it is we've got $25,000 to spend.
And-
Or not spend, because we're not gonna get it if we don't spend. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, I mean,
So why would we not approve the $25,000, send it to the city and let them make a decision? 'Cause
that's
otherwise,
y'all's,
we're not gonna get the money.
that's y'all's prerogative.
But you're from the Eulalia group, right? Who told you to come tonight? Like, how did you know to come tonight to tell us? Because you're exactly
Sadie.
$25,000.
Sadie.
You're
No, she's not.
exactly the bid, and you're the
She's-
exact dollar amount they got, and you're the only person who showed up.
You're not with that firm, are you? You're not. She-
I'm part of the team, I'm not officially an employee of the team.
But you're here to speak on their behalf.
Yes, so Chad is the main principal. He said it's on the agenda tonight for DDA, Libertyville, and asking us to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
I do want to hear.
But you see what I'm saying? The exact, like, basically, they said, here's $25,000, here's the person who you're gonna give it to, vote on this and say yes, and let's get this done. That's what doesn't sit right with me. No offense to you, I'm sure you're very lovely.
Me and Jamie were talking over here. If I'm gonna vote, to be honest with you, on anything, it'd be for us to talk through this, find one, throw it back in their hands. If I'm gonna do anything tonight, and I don't even know how much I'm on board to do that, but if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna let the city council come down to say, yeah, we'll spend our 30, 40, 25, whatever it is. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna put it back in their hands, because again, Eufaula is a good one. Chad's a great businessman in Monroe. I'm not pushing for that. I'm just saying, like, I'm happy she's here, because I don't know if that's the case or not, but like, we could still talk through these and say, okay, this one's out, at least get these narrowed down, because regardless, then at least we don't have this meeting for nothing. We at least narrow this down to 1, 2, whatever we do, and say, hey, these are the ones I like, here's why, and this at least narrows something down on these, even if we don't choose one, just so we at least accomplish something and kind of, then we can, even if we put it off, we can then go through those 2 quotes or whatever we get down to and say, okay, let's look at those deeper and let's talk to people, and let's actually, if we're gonna do one, do it that way. And at the end of the day, I'm agreeing with Jamie. I want it back in their hands, because I want to see who actually stands behind their word for that
Put that
stuff.
in a motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like a motion.
Is that a motion?
I'll motion that. I'm
All right,
fine,
let's
I'm
make it-
fine, at least talking through these. That's my first motion, talking through which one of these we want to proceed with, or let's at least get down. Motion to approve the top 2 bids right now.
Well, wait a minute. All right, does that have a second?
I second.
All right, any
All
further
right, let's get
discussion?
clarity there. What are the top two bids?
The two that this group wants to at least proceed, like,
He's saying we should identify the top two.
the two that we
Okay,
want, yeah.
I got you.
I just want to identify the top two, that way I can not look at five, I can
So
look at
are
two.
you wanting to identify the top two and then at a later date, ask those two to come and speak to you? Like the two applicants or the two proposed
No, he's saying
design
send those
groups?
two to the city council.
Just,
Here's the
Or
two
even
we
just for us to go
recommend,
in.
or who?
The two that I think we recommend, I think all of us are on board with, I want to throw this back in their hands. They threw it in ours, I want to throw it back in theirs and say, here's what we've done this much work, here's what we have.
Why not give them our top choice?
Why not, exactly. I'm fine, well, like, can we start with two? I mean, unless we all agree on the same one right off the bat, I don't think that's going to happen right off the bat. I think we'll get down to one, and it could be tonight. I just want to hear what they think is their best one, you, Jamie, me, and kind of go from there.
okay, I got it. I just want to make sure.
You're
that
good. Thank you,
We didn't
Paul.
have I wasn't clear on what the motion was.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll call the question.
Well, before you call a question, don't you need to pick the top two?
No, the motion is to pick the top.
Right now, we're in discussing, figure out the top two.
Vote on the motion.
Okay.
Further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
That is, I voted aye, that's 4-1. So
Pick
we'll
top
move
two
forward with that.
and send to council.
Dan, as the chair, do you have one or two that you like the most?
I like,
Realistically.
I like the Jertsons the best. I think it's the most responsive proposal and is
I
most
agree.
comprehensive, but I don't think I want to spend 40,000.
Okay.
I like Sizemore's. It's responsive and fairly comprehensive. I also like Eulalia. It's a little high level, but I like the fact that it includes public feedback for the lowest price of any of the three. So I would choose Sizemore and Eulalia. Anybody else want to go?
Well, I didn't have been so busy and doing things, I didn't have a chance to go in detail, but from what I have read, I feel the best about the Geertsen. I know it's $40,000, but honestly, the difference between $30,000 and $40,000, in my opinion, if we're going to spend that, I would spend $10,000 extra dollars to have the best one. I still have a lot more in detail to go, and that's why I do agree. I'd hate to have to take 5 of them and break them all the way down, but the Geertsen would be the one I would like to go into detail with.
I'll go on next. After reading a few of them, me and Jamie talked about earlier, is it Geertsen, is that
Yes.
right? They definitely had probably the most information in them. I also do like Eupholia, because again, for me, it does have those extra things. I do like that it's, to me, local, Chad, and that group is local. They've done Monroe. I have a feeling Paul knows that group because they're very involved. There's benefits of having somebody that's somewhat local to start this process. So if I had to pick two, even though I agreed with Jamie at that one, this part though, we're not spending that money anymore because we're about to throw this back at the city. I'm going, the Jerkston and Eupholia are my top two if I had to pick two.
Are you keeping a tally, Mike?
I'm just trying to see, so far I've got Jerkson and,
Jerkston, Sizemore, and Eupholia, because he did Sizemore and Eupholia.
And
We
if it's
both,
2, Eupholia would be me too, but my top is Geertsen.
Tara, do you want to participate?
They're all the same to me.
okay, so I still didn't hear what you said. Right now you've got Eulalia and Jerkson.
yes.
If we're
Me-
The only
Picking the
one I
top
saw
two.
qualified,
But if it's the top 1, it's Geertsen for me. If it's the top 2, it's Geertsen and Eupholia, or whatever you call it.
Eupholia. What were you doing, Mike?
the only one I agree with is Eulalia, so. But if you want to put the top two as those two, that's fine.
Do you
you
like
said-
Jerkson? You like
I do,
Jerkson too?
I do. I
It was just
don't-
more expensive.
I don't like the 40,000. And that doesn't include public feedback.
Feedback. Eupholia did do public feedback?
Yeah. It was like $2,500, $3,500.
And when we're talking about, the favorite ones to go through, they need to be gone through in more detail. I haven't went them through both of them in solid enough detail to be able to make a decision between one or the other, but, going through 5 is just too much, so 1 or 2, if we have these 2, we can, I've never been a supervision person, but I'm very good at pros and cons, and so, pros and cons between 2 for further discussion later would be what I would,
And my next question, just because we're at this point, if we send both these to city council and say, hey, we like these 2, and they say, hey, we give you the thumbs up, or they approve that we can go with either one of these and they will fund it, then at that point, are we allowed to bring those 2 teams, one of them's here today, back in here and let them give us a true pitch? I mean, she's here. Before I'm handing anybody $40,000, I'm gonna make sure they come here and tell me exactly why they're the most prepared and what they're doing, and again, kind of give us a 2-second pitch. I think the next step regardless is sending 1 or 2 of these back to the city council and saying, there's the 2 we want. If you approve those, either 40, and if they say, hey, we're only approving the other one, okay, then we talk seriously to Eufaula and say, okay, this is where we're at, we're ready to proceed. And then again, let that final vote come to us, or however that works. I know we're trying to send votes back and forth. We're just trying to cut the middleman of saying, if we do this, if we do all this work and the city then says no, we're beating a dead horse back and forth. But if they give us the thumbs up on that, the next meeting, are they before us? Is there a next meeting?
Yeah.
So this could be on their next agenda. And then literally our next meeting come July, we are now officially talking to one of these 2 and we can proceed pretty quickly if that is the case. Again, I'm not a fan of flying through this. I am a fan of the city saying, hey, 5 of us or 6 of us are on board with this, here it is. If this doesn't post their vote to start, it ain't gonna pass their vote when we're done.
I don't know, Brandon, maybe you'd be best, so you and Melanie to give you input. I believe the council would prefer, if they had a choice, that the DDA would make a decision on which one they would take. Is that fair?
But it sounds like we're not prepared to do that tonight, to get down to 1.
yes, because it hasn't been dissected, at least by me, that's my fault,
No, it's okay.
Like I
Well, we
said,
also didn't know
Appreciate your effort.
about the budget stuff either, so we're just getting some of the information, so I don't think we would have been able to make a decision either way, because we wouldn't have known that we have this $25,000 option.
Well, I think if we chose Yurtsin, we would be telling the council, give us more.
They're not gonna do it. They've only allocated 25,000.
Well,
We had
yeah, you
22,
can argue
so that'd be
that we could take
47.
another
we had.
I don't think any of us want to
15
spend
from
any
our
of this money.
22
I
and
don't want to
pay
spend
for
our
it.
money.
Conceivable.
Yeah.
It's not fair to us.
And Danny told us that in the meeting. He said, you'll have this money that's been sitting there. If you're not spending it, why would I give you more? He did tell us that.
Yeah, he did.
So it's clear about that. That's not, but still.
Dana, were you saying you think it'd be better to send 2 of these to the council, or are you saying
I don't-
really we need to get down to 1?
I don't think we can get a motion to choose just one. Because Jamie's not ready.
I like to talk.
Tara's not going to vote.
Well, here, also, if you talk to them, you say, hey, we like you, but right now, Eufaula is a solid 15 grand. I'm not gonna tell them, of course, who it is. I don't know how it works, but say, hey, if you can get close to a number that's better, we'll really have a discussion.
You can negotiate like that.
I'm just saying, like, I like both. I like theirs too. But I also, like I said, I think there's benefits to having someone local like Chad and his team do stuff too. I'm not against either one of those.
And a clarification pitch would help.
Oh, for sure. And again, she's here, but
Would you like to consider a motion to choose the top 2, and then continue our review and have a called meeting before the city council meeting?
I'm not against something like that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I like to, I'm not, like I said, I'm not in a hurry. I just also, I want to get this down, I want to get this at least narrowed
254
down.
built before Halloween.
But it'd be nice to have it coming out when
I
the
think we're a
library's
long
done,
way
right?
from that.
I'm
It'd
just kidding, guys.
be wonderful if we're gonna
It's
put
not
it,
that
if we're
serious.
gonna put up a couple of tents, that'd probably work. I believe what you're talking about is already part of the process, but you can do whatever you want to do, and we'll take it back, and Danny will put it in the package, we'll do whatever you ask us to do, best we can. But that is really what the intergovernmental agreement is for. You give them this is what I want to do, then we get an intergovernmental agreement that the council approves it. It may not be a unanimous vote, it may be, hell, it may, whatever vote it is, if it gets a majority, it's a majority. And when you get that intergovernmental agreement, you got the money. That's part of it, built-in thing, but we'll do it any way y'all want to do it. Yeah.
So if we got the $25,000 from council and it was for, professional fees, and we said, okay, we're gonna use Eulalia, and then we negotiated Eulalia to 10,000, what happens to the 15,000? We have to give it back to council?
It depends upon what the terms of the IGA are.
I don't think that they would sign an IGA until we've selected and negotiated a contract.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think the idea is that the cost of the project was gonna be in that $25,000 to $30,000 range is what we discussed a few months ago. And so I'm assuming, I haven't talked to Danny about this, but that's why that's your $25,000 in your budget. But if the IGA calls for the money to be transferred for purposes of paying for professional services, then that money's going to remain earmarked for professional services.
So I can't talk Danny into 108,000, then choose Eulalia and keep 75,000.
Another Gene.
You can talk.
If you're
I'm a
out,
business person, I'm trying to work this out so we can do anything else, but that's
I
too
understand.
living.
So are we talking about, in a way, tabling the discussion of these two? That would be, if we had a motion, is that worth thinking about? Talk through these pretty soon, have a call meeting for breakfast one day where we're all sitting down, it's a call meeting, so whoever can come, but I like IHOP or Waffle House. And then say, okay, here's what we're really thinking, and then talk about that one, and then are we talking, then we'll have that on the city council's calendar this next time?
We can only ask the city council.
I agree, we can
Well,
only
it's-
ask,
It's
but
gonna be on the, it's already planned for the IGA approval to be on July's calendar, agenda. Because we knew that's part of the process.
Who's we? Who's we new? Who's we new?
Well, when I say we, that's what I thought you guys wanted, and I think that's what Danny thought you wanted as well, and that's where we at. That's not what you want?
I have to, when we originally started this process, we started it with a thing that we were gonna take RFQs, get bids, and then the city council would pay for it. That's what I was told. And I was just told yesterday-
Conceivably, that's what's gonna happen.
I was just told yesterday that we had been allocated $25,000 in the budget we asked for, but that money was earmarked for this.
Which is not what we asked.
Which is not
Professional
what we asked.
services.
Yes, but we asked for a budget for other things, such as some of the other items that were on our thing. I know we had $22,000 left, but we could encumber those pretty quick, which would not leave the money. I mean, we were looking at some professional services that were gonna cost $6,000, $8,000, $10,000. Is that not correct?
I'm sorry, for the consultant? For
Yeah.
a grant? Well, it's $1,000 to $1,500 a month.
Yeah, which if you pay in a 6-month thing, you get a discount, and all of a sudden we've encumbered.
I think it was 9,000. We also wanted to talk about the grants for lighting and,
All of
we
a
have a
sudden,
bunch of
we've
others,
encumbered that
yeah.
22,000, which does not leave us the money to pay.
we had,
For anything more than
we
the
figured out
25,000.
that 45 was what we needed for the stuff outside of 254 that we wanted to. Oh, yeah, I did. I
yeah,
was looking at it.
grant writing, lighting, there's a whole bunch
Yeah,
of
there
stuff
were,
on that
there was
one.
more than just the grant writing, but we,
Yeah, it was $10,000 for parking signage,
Oh, yeah.
$10,000 for lighting grant program, $20,000 for an art grant program, $2,000 for an event with downtown business owners, $1,000 for memberships, $1,000 for travel, and $1,000 for training.
We didn't get it.
so we got nothing.
Right. Well, it's back to life.
So where are we standing at?
Well, if somebody wants to make a motion about how we move forward, sounds to me if we moved quickly, we could select a final one and propose to have it in the IGA.
When, tonight?
No, Jamie needs some time to continue to review these. but we could probably do it in a,
Here's,
Couple weeks.
just me being honest, and this is where I think a lot of us are standing, and if, I've never felt this way in a while. I get this, and I'm the one who was even talking about doing this, but I think there's a lot of misconceptions on what we're supposed to be doing, like money-wise. Like, I honestly, I don't feel like I've been cheated, but I get it, I appreciate there's $25,000 there, but now after we just said that, I haven't even looked back at that. We didn't get a dollar for what we were trying to do. We got this money, again, I get it, but like, I think what Tara's saying, and I'm not, like I said, I want Sunday built in 254, and I think she does too, because again, it'll help her business. I just feel like we've been directed in such a quick path for this, and they didn't give us a dollar of what the other stuff that we think is good for this city. It's one of those, if he'll come in here and say, hey, I take back what I said at $25,000 or whatever you want to, I'll really reconsider stuff and talk through things, then we can even talk about this. But the fact that we didn't get a penny for any of the things we thought we needed, but yet we have this money. I mean, again, I still think these two are the best options, and we can at least table these two for the next talk. I just feel like there's a lot of explaining to do from a lot of people to say, hey, what the heck happened with what we were given compared to what we're not given, and now we just happen, I don't know. I just don't feel like we've been done right. They want us to do things right, but again, we're a team dealing with $20,000 that we don't want to spend because we're iffy and we're asking for some more, so we have a little backup, and we don't even have that backup anymore.
I think what we're trying to say in a long way is that it seems very obvious that we weren't given a choice. Like, this is what we were going to work on. And, I mean, I guess maybe if we went into it being told that, we might take it better, but we've been wasting our time coming up with all these other ideas, these packets, can we do this, can we do that? And they were like, oh yeah, this is so great, or so engaged. Okay, but do the specific thing we want you to do, and here's the exact amount you need, and we'll have the representative that we want you to use, who's gonna cost the exact amount you need at your meeting. So let's vote. That's what it feels like to me.
I think that's fair. I agree.
If I would vote, if I do anything, I'd just motion to get us down to 2 between us, and then we can readdress these at a future meeting or whatever we want to. I'm just trying to, if I'm gonna do anything, again, these don't have to go anywhere to anybody else. It's just for us to get down to 2, so I can set these other ones to the side, focus on these, and if that's something we wanna table and readdress at a different meeting, cool. I just don't think, I think there's explaining and things to be said about what's going on with what's happening, and I don't feel like any of us are on the same page. Like, no, I think most of us are on the same page.
So
I just
if
think,
you don't, because I'm just assuming you don't want to give it back to city council, could we motion to put this off until January, when we have our new, like, we know what they're,
Probably will, don't.
where they're going with things, who's going to be on board, we can have conversations. I know we're not all going to agree anything, but I can go ask Brandon, hey, Brandon, what was your idea for 254? Like, what would you do? I can go ask Melanie, Patty, whoever else is
I
on the
think
council.
the only problem with that, or potential problem, is what we talked about earlier about how long is the bid good for. I think if we were to do that, we would either have to go out again for new proposals, or we would have to go back to the proposers and say, we want to choose you, is your price still valid? Will you stand behind it?
feel like
Is there a con to going out and doing it again when we're ready to actually do it?
Yeah, it's just, might be that they're tired of fooling with us.
I think you got 2, well, regardless of that, I think, like I said, I think Chad and Eufaula is local enough where if we said, hey, we want just you to give us, requote this one, because we know you guys and we know them personally, and then this guy and say, hey, we got these, like, we kind of have those 2, because we know already kind of their intentions, and kind of say, hey, does this still stand? Or even if it goes up, it's not going to go up double. It might not even go up a quarter. It might go up $1,000 or 2. But again, still at the same time, it's like, hey, we liked you from the start. We're ready to proceed. I don't feel like anybody's turning down $27,000 to $30,000, $40,000, because if we're that serious between 2, then I feel like I'm going to give you my best pitch if I know I'm top 2 in the class. Now, if I'm
I agree with you. I don't think anybody can tell you what's going to happen. You can't. You may wait whatever time you want to wait and call them up. Well, sure, it's still good. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know if the companies would know at this point.
may go down.
Who knows?
Certainly be competitive.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
They know what they bid.
Get down to 2. They know what they bid.
You're this close to a motion.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm going to motion anything, I'm going to just motion to get down to 2 for now. And again, we still don't have to, all I'm going to be motioning is for us to get down to 2 that we're going to keep in our back pocket, and we can readdress this when the time's right. And that's just between us. I don't even know if that has to be a motion. That can just be an agreement that, hey, let's talk through these 2 later.
Or
when
we
we're
could just
ready.
make a motion to postpone it to later and not make a choice, because if we're gonna have to do a new
RFQ.
call for people to do it.
We just know mentally we like these 2 from, or like I said, I know you didn't vote.
Okay,
that,
so
but
if we go in January and we decide, okay, we've gotten ourselves together, we know, we have a vision for 254, we know what we want. Now that we've already put it out there, can we just call you, Lalia, and be like, hey, okay, we're ready, how much is it?
Yeah, I mean, you can call anybody. These are professional services. They aren't required to be fully bid. The reason why you do these RFQs is to go out there and say, who are the most qualified folks to help us, navigate through these waters of pattern book and vision casting for this property. So if y'all aren't ready to make a decision, it is completely y'all's prerogative, but my suggestion would be, from what I've heard after this conversation, would be a motion to table this project, because from what I'm hearing, there's no consensus on anybody moving forward. And so I don't know that there's much value in a motion that just says, well, other than the courtesy of a phone call to the folks, hey, the other 3, we're not interested in y'all, and then a courtesy phone call to the folks that you're considering, hey, we can't go right now, but we would like to talk again later. I mean, I think that's just common courtesy, right? But it doesn't sound like y'all got a desire to move forward, unless I'm hearing something completely different. And so the best I can suggest on what I've heard would just simply be a motion to table the matter. Now, and that takes it off of your plate for this evening.
And it gives you more time to think and look.
But Paul, would we not have to vote on who we would say we're not interested in you and who we would say we'll come back?
I mean,
I think he's saying table the whole thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
we
you
don't
just-
have to make a decision, we can,
I
we
mean, you
have
certainly
their
can.
information.
You certainly can. If you want to make a motion and say, look, we haven't made this decision, but we have decided that we're down to the top 2, you absolutely can do that. And then make a motion to just table the matter for further discussion. You certainly can do that.
The only reason I think I'd be against that is with Tara not having a vote. I respect her enough where I would want her to say, hey, these are my top 2, but she's not going
I
to give
think I
us
still
those.
have to vote, because I lost.
She still has to
I still have
vote.
to vote,
Oh.
but they're
I'm
all-
just being like, I want you to, in a way, have a good vote with good conscience and say, hey, this is the top 2 I want. I know you'd still vote, but I agree, like, we could table the whole matter. Would you rather table the whole matter, or would you rather say go on and get down to 2? What would you like to do?
Me personally, I would
Yeah.
rather table the whole matter, and that way they're all still open and we can talk to them all, because who knows what happens in this next time, and we do want the 100,000 one, and we want to go tell Danny and explain to him why, no, we need 100,000. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what we're going to get to or go to next. I wouldn't want to just say, oh, we'll choose these 2 because they're in this budget, because who knows what we come up with and work on, and what kind of budget we have whenever we
Yeah.
table it to.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Then I'll go on and throw the motion to table the matter, including all 5 RFQs, just to a later date. And again, that could be in a month, that could be in 6 months, but I'm just tabling the whole matter. For the time being, I think that's my motion.
That's a second from me.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So I have a technical question to ask now. That negates the first motion that we approved.
No, we completed the first motion. We chose 2, but we decided to not do anything else with it.
No, your first motion was to send the top 2
Yeah,
to the city council.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
That's what they voted.
It was that. So would
You
I,
never picked the top 2.
then what would we motion to not do that? Would that be what am I doing? Because I'm saying let's not, we're canning that whole thing.
I thought it was just to choose the top 2.
No,
It
no,
was
it
to
was a
send it.
motion to send it to the city council, it was approved, and then you took it to the top 2. But this overrides that and tables it, so that's the way the minutes will read.
Okay.
That's fine, and that's fine, right? We're just
Is that
tabling.
all right, Paul?
Yeah, that overrides.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with the chairman that the way I interpreted the motion was just to select the top 2 for discussions. But I don't, again, I encourage this with my council all the time. Robert's Rules of Order are in place if we all could not agree and can't figure out where we're going. It sounds like, though, there's a general consensus to just, we're not making a decision, we're tabling the matter. So regardless of what the nature of the previous motion is, I think the consensus is to table the matter to a later date, which is what you call an indeterminate table, meaning it's tabled, it could be brought up,
Until we decide to take it
in
off.
accordance with your bylaws.
Yeah,
And did we vote on that?
We did.
yeah,
It was unanimous?
Yeah, it's 4-0.
5-0.
yeah, I voted yes. I didn't,
You voted yes?
yeah.
Okay.
You do not want to vote yes.
I'm one person.
What's our next spot?
Okay.
Where are we going?
Next item on the agenda, grant consultant. So let me just share that last time, at our last meeting, last time we met, we heard about a firm in Monroe called Allen Smith Associates. And I called them, I was asked to call them, directed by the board to call them, and I called them and asked if they would be interested in providing similar services as to what Julie has proposed to us. I said, we're looking for somebody to look for grants for us, help us decide which grants to apply for those grants, and then help us administer those grants in terms of all the reporting requirements that go with them. She said, well, I'm sorry, I talked to Deborah Smith, I don't know if I told you that, and she said, well, that's sounds like a good idea, but DDAs are not eligible for many grants. She said the project that they helped Monroe with was a community development block grant, and that tell me if I'm correct on this, Paul, any political subdivision or any city in Walton County can put in a request or an application for a CBDG from the federal government. But we are considered to be under Gwinnett County, which is an entitlement county, which is a strange term for that, that the county applies for and gets the money and decides whether or not to share it with the cities or other political subdivisions in the county. And that we would need to contact someone with the Gwinnett County government to ask about the CDBG grant, but that's just information. I don't know why we would be under Gwinnett and not Walton, but, so, anyway. She said that they would be happy to help us apply for grants or, certainly with reporting requirements if we got one, but didn't feel like it was worth their effort to go out and look for them for us. We wouldn't want to do that, so.
And that's the Smith Associates.
It's what?
That was the Smith Associates.
Yes.
Good info.
So I told Julie that, she's out of the country, so I emailed her and just explained to her that before we committed to the $1,500 a month, that we had spoken to this other grant writing company, and they had indicated that there weren't grants. And she said, which I think is what I told you would probably be the answer, is that is federal and like state grants and stuff. And she does grants that are by private companies and things like that, and that she obviously can't guarantee any grants, but that they were definitely available to DDAs to get. It just wasn't, through state, federal kind of funding. It was private companies. She mentioned like AT&T or something, like, and some.
Power has.
Yeah, like different companies that offer them to groups of people who are doing good things in the community, and that she would write the grants explaining that we're revitalizing our downtown, we have the historic, so she did not send the contract, so what I sent you guys wasn't the contract, so it was nothing to sign, it was just the information of the pricing and what she was doing.
Did you send that today?
About a week ago, wasn't it?
I don't remember when I sent it. Yeah, I think it was last week sometime. May 27th, actually.
I don't think I got it.
I sent it to 2 of your emails.
Did she still say she required 6 months?
Yes, she still will require 6 months. I sent it to drusselllda@gmail and Dana Russell at bellsouth.net on May 27th.
Mm-hmm. 27th.
So she kind of has it there. She, like I said, she's not putting any pressure on, but she won't come off the 6-month portion of it. And when I asked her about, you know, what happens if you don't find any, that wasn't an option. She's like, there's not no finding any. So, I mean, it's still a risk, so I'm not sure, but she sold me, but I'm a marketer's dream, so.
She knows more than I do about this subject, I'm sure, but I just don't know how much is available through private companies for DDAs who hook to cities. I just don't know. Is it a bunch? Is it any? Most of the
I
money you
mean, I
hear,
feel confident enough that we are friends that she would tell me if that was the case. Like, she wouldn't,
But
she
then
does.
again, she has no experience with DDAs, right? Or,
no DDAs, but she does have like a huge amount of, like, just personally from what I know her business is going crazy right now because everyone's funding is being cut.
well, you had given us some documentation about types of grants available for DDAs. It includes private and corporate grants, nonprofit and special initiative grants. Paul, would there be any issues with us accepting or going after private and corporate grants?
No, there's no issue. Y'all can pursue, funding through lots of different sources. I mean, they're out there. I don't know about the frequency of them, but like the examples that come to mind are like Verizon Foundation, Lowe's Foundation. They're out there. How often are they giving money to DDAs? I have no clue. Can't speak to that. Y'all are not a governmental entity, but you're a quasi-governmental board. I will say that sometimes you'll see in the foundation world, that money going to quasi-governmental or governmental agencies could be problematic, but I simply cannot speak to it. I just don't know.
So did she give a proposed price?
Yeah, it was 1,500. It was on there. Oh,
15
I haven't
times-
had a chance
15
to-
yeah,
times
it was
6.
1,500 a month for 6 months, but she did put at the bottom that it would be 10% discount if we prepaid the full 6 months
Well,
instead of monthly.
we would be committing to the full 6 months, right?
So might as well pay it up front.
I believe, I would think that.
well, you'd save $900 if you paid ahead of time,
Be $8,100 for 6 months.
$8,100 for 6 months. If that's what y'all choose to do.
I mean, we were hoping that we would get money in the budget, and we didn't, so
You gotta spend
it
money,
might be
make money.
something we have to table this too and do something a little more cost-effective to try to get money to start coming in, if y'all aren't comfortable with it. That was just,
this
I
is-
mean, we can go find the grants and write them ourselves too, I think. I got ChatGPT,
Well, I don't think
so.
there'd be any problem if we found a grant and then hired somebody to write it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, we don't, again, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
So I will highlight that for you, just the traditional grant writing services that you see is that there's a grant that's been identified and then you retain a grant writer for writing for that project. So I will say that it is a bit non-traditional to hear about just a retainer to be searching for grants. The more traditional processes that you see with cities and inferior boards is that you retain grant writing services for the purposes of pursuing a particular grant that's been identified. In y'all's world, there are grants out there, and Deborah Smith is in our neck of the woods. She's the expert, so I'm going to defer to her what she says. But examples are like the Rails to Trails programs, and yes, they are absolutely usually sitting at city levels, but again, you say, what are we doing? What's our purposes? One of the big things that you see DDAs doing is they are helping bolster up their cities in pursuing those types of grants. So a lot of times, cities are saying, hey, let's go for this grant, whatever it be, CDBG, Rails to Trails, those sort of things. It's a city grant that is received, but it is the DDA board that is helping implement and execute that process to get to that finish line. such as the CDBG grant that she was talking about that the city of Monroe recently received, because it is a CDBG grant to the city of Monroe that they're working on, but it is essentially administered and serviced by the DDA.
So we could find city grants, approach the city and say, we're gonna hire a grant writer to get us this grant.
That's certainly a path that is pursued pretty regularly, sure.
So we could talk to her and ask her if there's any city grants, not DDA grant. You see what I'm saying? If she's the expert and she could get the city grants and we can take on the administration or finding them or doing the work or whatever we need to do to get there, and then maybe Danny will give us money next year.
Well, there's nothing to say that we couldn't approach the city with, we've got this project we want to do, we need this much money. And if they agree with it, they give us the money. But an item later on the agenda is the Georgia Downtown Association Conference in August. And I've got the list of the trainings that are available. One of them on there is financing and incentives for your downtown. So I think that would be a good one to attend if we think we can go. And certainly whoever puts that on we can pick their brain. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Well, what is your pleasure with respect to a grant writer at this point?
I think we go back to who you talked to and ask her how we can get city grants and get involved, and then talk to. It's the least risky, because she's not charging us anything up front, right?
Well, I would think they would charge for that. I mean, if they're
No,
gonna,
After you get the grant though, right? Isn't that what?
Up front, we would pay them, in other words, we don't put them on retainer, we pay them for a grant,
yeah,
that's what you're saying.
they're not gonna go look for grant opportunities for us for nothing.
And the Smith Associates.
I
don't
thought
they
you
do
just
as a
said that
percentage of
traditionally you don't have someone on retainer.
Depends on the projects. They're all structured.
No, I didn't say that.
No, he did.
Oh,
So we would retain her?
Like I said, it's normally, y'all sort of know the grants, or the cities know the grants, and then y'all, and they do too, right? And so, I mean, they're in that world, so they would say, hey, I heard this grant's coming up, y'all may want to apply for it. And then they provide you a proposal of, we'll do the grant writing process for you for X number of dollars. So it's, my point is that it's less about just put us on retainer, just go out there and regularly look for grants. It's more on through the network of grant writing or through searching, y'all searching, city searching, staff searching, looking for grants, saying, oh, this grant may fit our needs. And I'll tell you where a lot of the grant knowledge is learned from, Georgia Downtown Association Conference, GMA Convention, like that's where you learn about these opportunities that are available to you. Most of the grants that you'll see coming down to your city levels are going to be administered through DCA, through Department of Community Affairs. And they work hand in hand pretty closely with GMA, GCF, DCA on the regular basis. So that's where those grants kind of pop up and show up.
but with most DDAs, Paul, is it not their staff that are identifying these grants or helping to facilitate application?
Usually that is correct.
And they are the ones who are the experts on where the grants are.
They're the ones that have knowledge and sort of are in that space, is that normally your DDA staff are gonna, they're gonna go to these trainings as well, they're gonna learn where these are, they're gonna join, there's, trade organizations for employees in, these worlds through GMA and others, and they're gonna know where they are, and then they're going to seek out grant writers to help you pursue them.
So what's your pleasure?
I mean, we already talked about the Georgia Downtown Association Conference, so I took off because it actually is a time that doesn't conflict for me for once. So we could just wait to make the decision until we go there and talk to other people and see what they do. And there may, we may just be complicating this and there's some simple way we can do it, or they might have a better person who is between what Julie is and what the Smith Company is, where they, bridge the gap a little more, or, I don't know. I mean, Julie's just the only person we've talked to, and then we talked to this person, so We don't really know what's out in that world,
Right,
so I would feel comfortable waiting until we spoke to someone who
I
did,
agree.
but that's up to everybody.
Yeah. So there's nobody that wants to take any action tonight? Okay, all right. Let's leave that then. Okay, the next one is website. So Tara has given us, and you guys may not have it, or Rex, you may not have it, a outline for the website, the site structure. Do you have a copy of that? or-
Yes, but I wasn't really sure which one you wanted, just the one with the websites
Yeah.
in the, so I took out, because on here it has where we were talking about assigning chair people to different stuff, so I have that separately, but it's not on there, but when it says meet the board and rules, obviously that's not, we did not follow through with that, so we would have to go back and decide if that's going to be what we do or not.
Yeah, I think, I think the outline in this, is great. And I would be in favor of moving forward with it. But I don't know how everybody else feels.
There's a QR code in there too that you can see the mock-up that I did. We didn't really talk about it because at the time we were still going to have Kyle do it, but you can look at what
Well,
I.
isn't that what we're still gonna do?
I don't know, I'm just telling you.
Well, under the new city's website, the LDA's old website is on the city's website now.
Yeah, I told them about them, asked them to take that off. They haven't done it yet?
It was there the other day, I don't know.
So I don't know, I'm not an website building expert, but I could do it
Well-
if we had to.
I think that's why we asked the city to do it. You don't wanna maintain a website, do you?
No,
I think the offer still stands. We just need to get with Kyle and say, this is what we want.
okay. Who wants to get with Kyle?
Pardon?
Who wants to get with Kyle?
I heard you volunteer.
Sounds like a job for me. Okay, I'll email him tomorrow and see when we
Okay.
can get together and talk.
Y'all comfortable with her moving forward on that?
If you don't
Maybe
mind.
we can all see a mock-up
Yeah.
before it goes live?
If you don't do it, I can do it.
I'll do it. I already talked to him when I was trying to figure out how
I
far
think-
Jamie had gotten.
I think you probably have the most technical expertise on the board here.
I agree. Just kidding.
The way the world's going, why would you not put that QA code on there? The code, I mean, that's just.
Well, she.
Oh, we are, but I was
That's the way
saying
the
I
world's
made a
going.
QR code so they could see what I built because we were trying to figure out, that was when Jamie was still here and we were trying to figure out who was supposed to be doing what. But I'm sure
But
it's
if
still.
Kyle does it, I'm sure he can put that code on there.
Yeah, we can make our own QR
I
code.
think. Don't see where it hurt anything.
Okay. Good job,
Okay, so
Tara.
I'm gonna email Kyle tomorrow
All right,
and tell him this is what we want.
very good,
for our thing.
very good. All right. If there's no other old business, I think we've covered all that. New business, Georgia Downtown Association Conference. As I mentioned, there's, association conference is in August. It's the 23rd through the 28th in Gainesville,
25th through the 28th.
25th, sorry.
Yeah, 25th through the 28th in Gainesville. I was just pulling it up right now.
And I think there are a number of good training opportunities here. The first day, they've got, the full day is a DDA advanced training. That has a cost associated with it, but they also have free training the rest of the conference, including financing and incentives for your downtown, working the plan, redevelopment strategies for successful implementation, place branding and marketing as a catalyst for small business growth and downtown revitalization, 30 little ways in 60 minutes, big ideas to take your downtown to the next level. That might be really useful for us. How the DDA and MSAB can guide development without being the developer, creating a small area plan. I don't know what MSAB is.
I think that's your Main
Main
Street
Street.
programs. But
Does
that
it
class
end
is,
on the 28th?
that class is basically 254
It does.
Main
It
Street.
ends at 1:30 on the 28th.
Just so y'all know, that class is 254 Main Street.
Yeah, yeah.
On the 28th, yeah.
Right.
That's when we go to the beach.
Well, I put together what I would like to request from y'all is the authority to spend money on registering and attending this conference. It's on my phone. The conference registration is $490. Where is it? Drive. The advanced DDA training is $315. I wouldn't want to go down there for 4 nights, but I would go for 3. That's $561 at the conference rate. And then the number of meals are provided, but I think individual meals might cost $75. So total of all that is $1,441. I would like all of you to attend with me, but I know that's not possible. And the advanced DDA training is limited to 50 participants. So, and the registration's been open for probably about 2 weeks now. So that may be all sold out, in which case that would reduce this amount by $315.
I will go. I'm not gonna stay though. I have a baby and he's not set up to
So
be
we just
away
go up for a
from me.
day?
Well, I would go drive back and forth to Gainesville.
okay.
I have no problem. It's Gainesville, right?
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Gainesville.
I thought that's where it was. Yeah, I don't mind driving to Gainesville to attend it,
Yeah,
but.
it's Gainesville, and registration's open until August the 9th, but these things do fill up. I just know, so, like, whoever's going, y'all need to pick it and get it reserved and all that, because it does fill up, especially if you're staying in the hotels that they have on site.
No, my calendar also happens to be free that really, like 4 days up. Like we have, I coach volleyball and we're actually off that entire week. We do have a game on the 28th, so I would not be there Thursday, but I could be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
The training is free if you don't register for the conference. If you just go to the training, there's receptions and lunch speakers and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't go to that and just go to training, it's free. So you might want to choose 1 or 2 a day and, go up in the morning, come back at night.
I think it'd be very beneficial for as many of us to go. I will agree. Like I said, back to what Tara's saying, with us being a baby DDA, I think some of us, like, I need it. Heck, I mean, I feel like we'd be way more prepared to discuss all this stuff after we do that. So at least half of us or whatever, whoever can make whatever days, I think would be important. But I think, I mean, like, I'm with Tara, I'll just drive back and forth. I'll have a new son at that point too, so I'll be back and forth.
And it looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are your real days, and that Thursday is sort of a finishing event. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are the,
And we're close enough we could drive back on Wednesday.
yeah. And I'll challenge it. If y'all can get consensus on what y'all are gonna do, I'll be happy to meet y'all up there, because I always come to some of them, and I'll be happy to buy you one of your meals so that we can save the city of Loganville's DDA money a little bit there, and y'all can have one meal on me. They're very fun events, and they're very functional events, and you learn a lot. But I'm just looking at the agenda, their schedule real quickly off the top of my head. It looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the functional days. Thursday, it's fine.
And if we can't get into the advanced DDA training, then we don't even have to be up there Monday, except for the next morning, Tuesday and Wednesday.
If we can just do 2 days, 2 full days, it'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
It's one of those I'd rather
I'm
commit.
good with, you said Tuesday and Thursday or Tuesday and Wednesday?
Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday's from 11 o'clock to 1:30.
And that's the fun event, right? That we don't really have to.
Well, there's a training, but there's
Oh,
also,
there is?
yeah, there's 2 of them. Starts at 10 and ends at 1:30.
We're just saying me and Jamie won't be there on that Thursday.
Yeah, and then I don't think those are anything that would interest us. Advocacy strategies for communities and leaders at entry level, at every level. The Dragon Boat Experience, Gainesville's history on Lake Lanier.
Okay, so for sure we're going Tuesday and Wednesday,
Yeah.
And maybe Monday.
all of us. Oh, are you coming, Michael?
I'll get a shake. I'm
Okay.
still not sure.
I'm good. I think he said he's good. That's 2 of us.
Okay, and then Monday, we need to find out if we can get in.
Well, I'm gonna try and register tomorrow, if y'all approve.
Are you gonna
reimbursement.
try to register all of us, or we have to go register ourselves?
I could register all of us, because you can register for someone else.
It'd be easier just to do it.
Yeah, and then if it's not enough, like if they tell you there's only 2 spots, you can just,
Well, I can call Is it Renee Coakley?
Yes, I looked yesterday when you sent it to me.
You
It's
what?
Renee Coakley.
Yeah, I will call her and ask how many spots are left.
Okay. I'm good for all those days. I'll drive and
How much
pay for
money
my own
does
food.
the board want to allocate for this event for each of us?
Do we have to, like, if you're in a, I think she's gonna drive, I'm gonna drive back and forth, you're gonna
We'll drive
drive.
back and forth.
If you need to stay, I mean, do we have to allocate a certain fund, or we just
Well, I
wanna
don't,
be smart with
I
it?
think,
It's not like we're gonna go out and run up a tab,
well, but to register, you have to pay.
okay?
So I would, if I register, I'd like to have reimbursement. And then if I'm gonna stay, I need a hotel.
Do we not have a DDA card? Is that not?
No.
Oh. Send me the card. Do you have an idea of a number? You rather go
Well, yeah.
more than
There's
maybe less?
1441 was just you, right?
Yeah,
So you'd have to add 315 for the three of us.
right.
So that's another $1,000.
$945,
Yeah,
another
So
$1,000.
the 1441 included 315.
right,
Oh, yeah,
but
plus-
Jamie, Braxton, and myself.
Is it
So that-
$495 per person for registration?
$490, but if you just
Per
go,
person,
yes,
okay.
but if you just go to the training and not the lunches and the events,
Then
it's
it's free.
free.
You
Just
don't have
want
to
to
pay the
drive up in the
$490.
morning and drive back at night, no cost.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Oh, yeah, then I'll just do the free thing.
You don't want to do
Free's
the
good.
advanced DDA?
I will do it, but I don't, like the other day, but that was only 315, right?
Right.
So
Well, how
I'll
about
do the
this?
315
Well,
and
but
then the
you have
rest
to
I'll
do
do
the
the.
490 too.
You
I
have to
do?
be- You have to be registered, is what you're saying, I
Right.
guess.
Okay, I'll do whatever. I'm just trying to be frugal.
I think it probably, if it does anything, it'd benefit, if you both did the Monday, if that's what y'all are talking about, and then me and Jamie will join you with the free stuff Tuesday, Wednesday. Save some money in that. I don't feel like all of us need to go to that main one. To be honest with you, you and Tara do the most and like do a lot for this board. You both would benefit, and then we'll be up there for those other 2 days.
So.
I would say we allocate $3,000 and then we just figure out how to do that. Because if you're 1441 and we have another 1,000 so that they can go if they choose to, and we don't know about Michael yet. So we just go with an even $3,000 and if we don't spend all that, we're good. But it gives us a chance to, if we all need to go and go to the classes we need to pay for, we'll be there. And unless Michael wants a hotel would you want
Oh,
to stay?
no, I would drive.
Yeah, so I'll drive.
I think DDAs typically have a stipend that they give their board for meals and transportation.
I mean, yeah, usually they do. So what I'm hearing is like, if you go for the whole thing, one person is less than $1,500, is that correct?
Yes, and that's if you do pay
If you
for the advanced.
Pay for everything and you get the hotel, and then if you just go and drive back, we're talking, did I hear $500?
Well,
Well, I know that if you just go to classes, but was it
it's $490 plus $315.
That's if you go to the big class.
to the,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
advanced
plus.
DDA.
to the advanced day? I mean, let me just make it simple, since it sounds like y'all got to make schedules and all that. Is if somebody's going to spend the night, it would be a motion to approve expenditures up to $1,500 per member that attends, that's spending the night, and a motion to approve up to, whatever, 750 or 800, whatever that number is, 800.
805.
So, yeah, so $850 for those that are, driving back and forth. And that way you kind of know, like, I mean, it may be more than $3,000 though.
Do y'all want reimbursement for gas?
Yeah,
Mileage?
and mileage is available for
Well,
you if you budget it.
I don't, I get a free car and free gas, so I'm not.
I don't need gas,
How you
You can ride with me if anyone wants to ride with me, I'll drive you, but I don't need reimbursed for it.
So if y'all need gas, go by Loganville Ford.
Yeah,
Just don't get
We're
caught.
on
So-
YouTube, Skip, you're gonna get me in trouble.
so are
Yeah.
we comfortable with 1,500 for
People staying the whole time, and 800 for the other people. Again, we won't even
eight,
touch
say 50?
850. That's fine. Just say that way. Anybody who wants to go can go.
Anybody want to make that motion?
I will motion $1,500 for the people who want to stay and $850 for people who want to go back and forth, max.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, great. Then we have our new item on the agenda,
New projects.
new projects. Tara?
So, I've been thinking about things we can do downtown, and there is a historic house downtown that is owned by someone who's lived in Loganville pretty much their whole life, and she is elderly, and it needs painted very, very, very badly. And she has a family member who lives with her, but from what I understand, he is not able to do the painting, and I don't want to speak about it, but he's also a big part of the community. They're super involved, and I think we should consider either asking if we can help with that project, or getting people to do it and do the painting, or pay for it, or joining the Historical Society, in which, Melanie, I know you're in it, and someone told me to talk to you about it, but I forgot. And together work on getting it, because it's Miss Joyce's house, and it is right there on Main Street.
house.
And you can see it from everywhere, and I think it kind of fits into what we are trying to do. And she is really, like, well, y'all are on Main Street too, but you said she support, like, we're doing the kids market, she brings $100, which is a lot of money for her, and splits it between all the kids. Like, she really gets involved in every single thing. So I spoke to her son briefly, just about, like, hey, what's the situation with all this scaffolding and stuff? And he said something about oil painting, and it's gotta be oil, and it needs 12 coats, and that's why he hasn't started yet. He has to do it himself, but I don't know anything about that. I mean, y'all might know about that part of it more. I kind of regretted asking him, just because I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, okay, I don't know why I asked this. So I don't even know a price, but I was thinking maybe we could think about doing that. That's a good thing we can do with the community. We can spend some of the money like Danny asked us to, and it is pretty visible from all up and down Main Street. So it was just an idea. Or we could just fundraise on her behalf to get the money to do it. which-
Scaffolding's already there too.
the
Half the
scaffolding
work's
is up.
done.
So even if we can't pay for it or use our own money, or if that's not allowed, I don't know, if we could do something to fundraise to get that done, or support a fundraiser, like sponsor a fundraiser, so that could help. I think that would really.
What do you mean,
help
like a
Main Street.
raffle, or, get the local business owners to donate something and have a
Yeah,
raffle?
anything we could do too. I just feel like, if you've driven past and seen it, it needs to be done. And if we're revitalizing and we're about to get a new library, it's gonna be beautiful. It's just gonna become more and more of a,
And I think I love the idea, and I think the good part is we'll just have to proceed with a little bit of caution, and him and Melanie might be, especially historically, like, I love the idea. It's just, I want to make sure I agree, and I think if anybody deserves it, it is her. I just don't want we to get in trouble. Hey, I need my house painted, I need my house painted, I need my house painted. But I agree, I think it's a great idea, and again, I have contacts and stuff where I really don't think it'd cost that much. Now, it all depends also, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm going to paint my own house. If he really thinks he's going to paint 12 layers of oil-based paint on that house, let him do it. And I agree. I'm just saying, like, I can give him a painter, and I know a guy who will do that house perfectly. It's going to cost him $3,000, especially if he's all the work's already done. But again, if it's not to their liking, that's the only part I'm
Yeah, and
be cautious
I
with.
didn't talk to them about it,
That's
so
fine.
if they're watching YouTube, they're finding out about it. Or
$3,000
they might be
probably
like, no way, you are not touching our house, like, leave us alone, we didn't ask you for this, so it's not.
It'd be good to talk to them.
But I've been seeing it, and like, she does really, support
She does.
downtown as much as she can. She's always around, she's willing to help.
Other than the fact that everybody else is gonna want
I
their
love
house
that guy.
painted, is there a problem with us just choosing someone to?
I know I got a bigger.
There is, and I think it's a great idea, and that second idea, I would say, let's go for it. So there are ways to get there. And there's actually some grants, if a GIC grant is available still, I don't know if it is. Some of these low-income housing improvement grants are out there to where you get some funding to be able to do that. And this young lady, Sadie, actually spearheaded some of that in Monroe years ago. But the gratuities clause of the Georgia State Constitution is going to prevent us from digging into that. That being said, there are some options. One is if y'all want to go out and do some fundraising and raise some money, you know, for those purposes, you know, y'all certainly can do that, sort of on your own, not through the coffers of the city's DDA. If you wanted to develop a facade grant program whereby there were funds available to DDA members and they make application, that certainly is an option. Normally, DDA facade grants are in the realm of commercial facade improvements, but I would have to dig into it, but I think that you could have a facade grant that could also include residential as well. But, so the short answer is, unfortunately, the sort of spearheaded idea that you have, which is admirable and wonderful, you're not going to be able to do because of the Georgia Constitution. And that's your problem, is the gratuities clause simply doesn't allow funds to be spent directly on any, you know, we're just going to give this to somebody. That's the problem. There are still other ways to get there, but it would require either a facade grant program that y'all need to look at, or maybe some other grant opportunities or application processes that we could dig into.
But we could raise funds not with DDA, but we can go out and make our own funds and help or volunteer or whatever it is.
Volunteer, go get a Sherwin-Williams gift card, you know, I mean, all those sort of things. I mean, I think it's something that if y'all
We're
were
off a set of tires from Tire Doc.
You know.
Throw that in.
Yeah.
But just y'all taking your DDA resources and using them, it can't. Now, there are plenty of things that DDAs can do that cities and counties can't do, right? And I'll be happy to dig into it, but generally just one-off and, hey, that one particular person, we're going to go paint their house, that can run into problems from a gratuities clause violation just generally. So I'll be happy to look into see if there's some facade grant paths that you could take or other ways that you could address it. But I would caution you against just allocating DDA resources for the painting of one particular
So,
property,
but we could.
whoever's it is.
We could, in our individual capacity, come up with a fundraiser for her that's not sponsored by the DDA.
Absolutely.
We could.
Absolutely.
Could establish a facade grant program and solicit contributions to that, as long as there's an application and selection process is laid out.
Correct. And usually those have a cap, like, you know, I've seen them anywhere from 500 to 2,500, meaning you apply for a facade grant, hey, I want to improve the face of my property, you know, and then you go through the application process, and then you guys are the arbiter or decider of those grants. That's y'all giving out the grant to a downtown business or property owner. And usually they're capped anywhere between $500 and $2,500.
And we could, just on top of that, could we build a grant like that with some of our funds we already have? Because
Yes, absolutely.
That's a great,
And we
yeah.
have a number of historical homes around here.
That could apply for that.
Yeah.
It's just I think all of us are just trying to start using our money for something beneficial
Yeah.
besides
A
just.
facade grant is I mean, you may hear about it at the GDA, I don't know, but that is sort of a standard sort of tool in the pocket of DDAs, is they get a little money in their pocket and then they have a facade grant. And they usually almost always come with sort of a matching requirement. We have, you know, you can get up to $500 or up to $2,500 or whatever to do facade improvements to your property facade. But that $500, $2,500 is usually capped at a percentage of the total cost of the project. 25% of the project, 30% of the project, 50% of the project, whatever. Meaning there's got to be skin in the game for the people doing the facade improvements. It's not just DDA dollars. It is a partnership of DDA dollars with private investment dollars.
How do you make
Most of
sure they
those are
follow through?
commercial too, right?
Most of them are commercial. The ones I have experienced and seen are commercial. So I would have to go look and see where there's some, I know that the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, is that GIC? Did I get that right? Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, it had some low-income exterior facade improvement components to it back when Monroe, CHIP grant, thank you, see? She knows all the acronyms, I don't. So the CHIP grants are out there, and they are some low-income housing facade improvement structures for private individuals within certain defined regions. Sometimes they're urban redevelopment regions, sometimes they're opportunity zone regions, sometimes they're DDAs. I mean, I don't know. Now you're getting out of my lane, and guess what? You're getting into some grant writers and some DDA professionals lanes. But those grants are out there where there are pots of money that are used for basically what you're asking for.
But the homeowner applies for them, or we apply and give it to the homeowner.
Usually what it is y'all facilitate that grant coming to the city. Hey, we applied for the DDA of Loganville to be identified as, an area where CHIP grants are available, and we've gone and gotten a pot of whatever, 20, 30, and then the homeowners apply for those CHIP grants.
To us.
Yeah, or if we're the grant writer. Well, I think we're all I like the idea of what we were kind of talking about. It's the first step. If we create some type of, again, this could be our first step you're talking about, start small and go from there. We create our own little grant pot. And again, I think anybody within the realms of our DDA, we have a DDA landscape, and she falls in that. I don't know how it would work,
Yes.
commercial or residential. There's only probably 12 residential houses that fall in our shot, and she's one of them. So if you fall in our shot, you can apply. And again, I think it'd benefit a lot of people. I mean, a lot of the downtown people have already done it. You did yours, Brandon's done his, I've done mine. But like some of the ones who are hesitant about doing it, like I would have loved, I didn't need it, but I would have loved to say, hey, if I've always wanted to see the city of Loganville or the DDA have some skin in the game. Like, hey, apply for this and we'll give you some money to better your buildings. And finally, most of them have already done it. So that pot could be used for some of those residential again. She has to have some skin in the game, but she could apply, get some money, and then we're helping her out that way. And then again, I can volunteer. He said tires. There's other parts that we can help her specifically. But I think it'd benefit the whole city of Loganville. So I think the city's needed something like this for a while. We just haven't had it. Some type of, we hire a grant writer to write that grant for the DDA for us to give those funds.
Yeah, and those, now whether or not you can get CHIP grants, I don't know, we're way outside my lane, but just a traditional facade grant, that's just y'all adopting some basic policies, earmarking some of your money, setting it aside for those grant allocation purposes, and then providing those to the community. But then what happens is they make application to you, they come in with their plans. I mean, it's literally plans, hey, my building looks like this, it's run down, and I need $5,000 for new awning and $1,000 for paint and whatever, $10,000 project, I'm applying for a $2,000 assistance grant for facade improvements.
And that's awarded or
And then we
or
can start
paid out on a
engaging.
reimbursement basis or
Yes.
upfront? Yes.
Yes.
To make sure they go through with the project.
Normally, I mean, yeah. And those are pretty low-hanging fruit, meaning we could go and grab some other communities and just hit replicate, because those are not difficult. And I think GMA or DCA has modeled, they've got modeled.
Imagine.
It'd just be a good first start, to start engaging people in the people that are within our realm to help them. And again, it gives us stuff to do. Hey, come in here, propose what you want to do. Here's some money. Sounds great. We all
Well,
vote.
plus her house is in the middle of all the new stuff we're trying, like, it's right across the street from 254.
I think it's a great idea to get to that point.
Yeah,
that
you
fix
could,
help her.
the new library is gonna be affected by it, not affected, but you can see
254 will
it. So if it's taken care of, I can see it from my own building, so obviously there's personal gain to it for it being nice, but, she is really
She is.
involved and really loves the town, and she has used that house to help homeless people and let them live there. Like, she has written a book, I don't know if you've ever talked to her, but she has a whole book about how she helped homeless and stuff. So she's a pretty, interesting person in the community that we could help. And that's the kind of thing that's gonna get us on the radar and have
I
the
agree.
community trust us more to do other things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good start. Then, what would we motion to would we motion to look at making a grant, writing a grant to talk about the next meeting? Like, what would we do? Because I think that's something that we could talk about for sure, at least discuss, or we just put on the agenda next meeting to really dive into that.
Well, I think there's maybe two options, and we could do both at the same time, but one would be to see if there is or get a hold of the template for that grant program from
Yeah.
DCA or whoever has GMA, and use our own money to create that grant program, or find out more about the CHIP grant, whether it's available, how we would use it.
Yeah, and just know, I can't speak to the specifics, but I do know that your CDBG compared to Monroe, because that comes up a lot, is it's all about census tracts and your socioeconomic classes within your census tracts, meaning the census tracts for certain grants to be qualifiers have to identify as below certain income levels, poverty tracts, basically. And so I don't know what your poverty tracks look like here in Loganville. I think I recall Danny telling me that y'all either don't have any or have very few, which is not a bad problem, that's a good problem. But it does also affect what grant options are available out there. But finding a model DDA facade grant structure with policy and rules is easy. We can find you one, and y'all can, I would suggest that y'all just put that on the agenda for your next meeting, and I can certainly get some examples over to Dana for y'all to consider.
Love it.
Yeah, I think we can do that, and then if it doesn't work out or it's not something we can do, then we can, I
Raise
think
around
the
funds,
downtown
yeah.
businesses could also just get together and fundraise if it turned into something the DDA didn't really need to get
I'll
involved
give you
in.
another suggestion too. Excuse me. You might look at Sherwin-Williams for supplies. You might look at Lowe's, Home Depot.
In-kind contribution.
Home Depot gave American Legion $380,000 to redo their building inside, and their employees came and did most of the work, or some of the work, I should say.
Is American Legion a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit. I don't know if that would incur it or not. Does, Melanie, does the Historic Society have any funds for things like that?
We do, but what I was gonna say, and this is a question for Paul. I served on a DDA in the early 2000s here in Loganville. We had a grant, facade grant program already in place, and we issued out a facade grant.
Oh, well, there you go.
Or is it still active?
I mean, if there's a policy that this board adopted many, many moons ago, then yes.
Because we gave one of the sisters at their antique shop, they were doing the renovations there, and we gave them $500 to paint part of the building. So
Yeah.
I know that the program's there, I didn't know if it got deactivated or if it's still active or if.
I mean, I wouldn't know without us digging into your records to see.
Be
but
quicker to adopt a new one than to find the old one, I bet.
That may be true because that's kind of what our history has been, looking
Yeah.
into y'all's records is just amended and restated facade grant, policies and
And that was
procedures.
probably commercial. I mean, I don't know if it was a limited commercial, but,
I
yeah.
don't know, I just know there was a.
It helped,
program
yeah.
in place. And
Yeah.
as far as the historical society goes, we're actually, some of us are supposed to meet with Ms. Joyce about some other issues, so, I mean, yeah, we'd be, I'm sure, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure we'd be on board to help you any way we can.
And maybe
I
other
haven't asked
clubs?
her yet, so.
Well, I think we make the motion to look into adopting a grant, or look into writing a grant or adopting a grant for the next meeting, because I think regardless if it's her house or not, I think it'll be good to have an active, because again, it starts to get us engaged in the community. People who need those things within our DDA track can come in here and present, and we can give money that way and start actually using some of our money for good and fire away.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Mike, you got that motion, okay?
Not really. I don't know what we're doing.
It was to find a template for
A template,
a
yeah.
facade grant program and distribute it and have it on the agenda for our next meeting to discuss.
Okay, did you assign it to someone?
Pardon?
Did you assign that task? to
Paul is going to find one for us.
Okay.
They assigned it to me. I'll find you a couple. I'll find you a couple and get them over to the chairman, and y'all can parse through them and see. They're pretty standardized
I
and
don't feel like they
and not
do
a
that.
different. The main thing is like a cost-sharing mechanism that we adopt a policy that there's an objective to beautify and improve downtown. That's the basis for spending the funds. And that there's a cost-sharing mechanism that it's a public-private partnership concept, that if we're putting up forward $500, $1,000, whatever it may be, that the property owner is also putting forward funds to improve that
It
facade.
might even have a draft application or a template
Probably.
application.
Yeah, we can help you find that. That's not a big deal.
Thank you.
Cool.
Any further discussion on that item? All right, then,
Thanks,
I
Tara.
believe we've finished the new business section. Let's open the floor up for public comment. If any of you would like to come and address us, just tell us who you are, where you live, and we'll limit you to 3 minutes. How about that?
I'm in trouble now.
My name is Joanne Byrne. I live at Tullis Shoals View in Loganville. I want to thank you and commend you guys for your discernment on this 254 Main. I support everything you said, every point you made. In full disclosure, something my opinion, something does not feel right about this 254 Main. Tara, you highlighted that point with it just feels rushed. And I hate that you weren't given money for all the other things that you've discussed, the grant writing, the light program. There's just, feels like something isn't transparent here, and that's bothersome to me. So I really commend you guys on sticking to your guns with that. I'll turn this off because I doubt you're going to say anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sadie?
Hello. Hey, great. I know some of you, but I don't know all of you, so I wanted to introduce myself since I'm here as been a part of the meeting. My name is Sadie Krozek. I actually live in Monroe, Georgia. And I came at Chad's request in the event that you guys had questions about the Eulalia Group's proposal. But taking that hat off, what I do in my day job is I work for the Georgia Municipal Association, which serves all of our cities in Georgia, and my background is in downtown development. And so I know you guys said you're a baby DDA, but you're doing a good job figuring this out and learning. So keep it up, and I'm so excited about you guys attending the Georgia Downtown Association. Our association manages that association for the state of Georgia. Amazing learning opportunities. I think you're gonna really love it and get a lot there. But also just to say, I'm a resource, we are a resource, we're neighbors, I'm happy to help, and anything that we can do as GMA or the Georgia Downtown Association, GDA, we're happy to do that. And there's lots of other communities that we touch and we know, and we can borrow and pull resources. Paul knows this, and he's connected to those as well. But just so you know, that's who I am. Wanted to introduce myself for those that I don't know. And keep up the good work, guys. There's a lot of opportunity ahead for you in Loganville.
Thank you.
Sadie, what was your previous job?
I was Economic Development Director, and DDA was under me in Monroe for just over 9 years.
19.
Nine.
Thank you, Sadie. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I want to say how much I appreciate all you guys and the discussion we had tonight. I think it was very productive and very good for us to have, and I think we're going in a great direction. Anything else?
Does Sadie want her last spot on the board? I'm kidding.
No?
Dang it.
Okay.
Do we have anything to talk about with that? Or are we in charge of that, or is that
I
y'all?
was reading up today to see what negative things were said about us, and I saw 2 people said they applied. So I
Awesome.
don't know where do those applications?
I saw one that said he was going to apply. Those go to the city.
I'm about to say, I don't think we picked that.
So
No,
they just
no.
pick someone for us and they just
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
Hello.
I mean, not that that's bad. I was just
No.
Actually, it's voted on by the city council.
Yeah.
I think, is that set to close the end of the month? That's good.
I think so. I
Yeah, you
think
said
it
30
was-
days.
Yeah, it was set through the end of June, I
Yeah.
believe.
But I thought the person like Brandon chose Jamie, so I thought Brandon had to choose the replacement, not the whole
So
city.
the
That's up
mayor
to
and council
city council.
appoints the DDA members.
Yeah, that's up to them.
And what happens is a particular council member will recommend somebody, and unless something goes sour, they're usually voted on and put in.
Gotcha.
Is that a fair statement?
And this doesn't have to be a business owner.
It just has to be some
The-
of those.
Jamie's was not a business owner,
No, I think
so you're right on that one.
The statute requires 3 to be business owners.
I'd have to go back and pull
Four,
the
I think.
statute. It requires 4 to have have relationship to an economic interest in the downtown market. And
Oh, we have
there's some
4.
limitations to where there's a maximum on how many of those can be non-county residents. But because y'all are a split county, I think the argument would be that they can be either Walton or Gwinnett County. So I can get you the exacts on the qualifications, but it's 7 members, and 4 of them must represent an economic interest in the downtown development authority boundaries, which generally means either own a business or own real property in that downtown development authority
But
boundaries.
you can have more than the 4 though, because we have the 4.
Yes.
This person can be anybody in a good way.
Yes, you could have more than the 4, but there still are limitations. They be a resident of the city of Loganville. So if they are, and that's, again, I don't have the statute in front of me, so don't quote me on it, but I can give it to y'all. if they have an economic interest inside the DDA boundaries, they don't have to be a city resident. But if they don't have an economic interest inside the city, inside the DDA boundaries, they have to be a resident of the county. I think y'all, since y'all are split county, that would be either Gwinnett or Walton.
I think if they don't have.
No, I'm sorry,
Gotta be
no,
city.
I'm sorry, you're right. That's a city resident. I just said that wrong. If they don't have an economic interest, they have to be a city resident. If they do have an economic interest, they have to be a resident of one of the two counties. Sorry. Ironically, I've been here for 2 hours and a
little
half,
while.
and my logic and sentences start to mess up a little bit after a while.
I think we could all
Well,
say that.
Again, the legislature wants to make sure people making decisions about Loganville have some skin in the game too. That's the whole point.
Yeah, sure. Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Probably not gonna get it.
Second.
Everybody's asleep.
Second to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn, doesn't require a second. All in favor, say aye.